All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'd all remain standing, please, for a moment of silence in honor of our servicemen and women and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. I'd also like you to also remain standing for a moment of silence for the horrific events that have taken place over this past weekend in Israel and all the death and destruction that has happened. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne-Hayes. Here. Councilor Condon. Here. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Linehan. Here. Councilor McDonald. Here. Councilor O'Malley. Here. Councilor Sika. Here. Councilor Simonelli. Here. Councilor Spadafora. Here. Councilor Winslow. Here. Council President Murphy.
Here. First order of business. Let me see. Let me just see. Okay, under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those of you in attendance, please be informed that UMA, Urban Media Arts, will be recording this evening's meeting. Be aware there will be both audio and visual recordings of the meeting. First order of business. Public comment.
Two public comments on file.
So we have two public comments on file. Clerk, would you please read them?
Dear City Council. Dear City Council, the proposed 2023 Council Comments section 5.05 with the description of public comments states that comments shall be respectful and adhere to council decorum. The language you have chosen to use in this part of the rulebook appears to violate both the letter and the spirit of Articles 16 and 19 of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. See Barron v. Calenda and the Town of Southborough, SJC 13284. Respectfully, Brian DeLacy, 1 Earl Street, Malden, Mass. The second email reads, Dear City Council, the proposed 2023 Council Comments section 5407 provides guidelines for decisions of the public body to, quote, make a recording of its meetings as determined by the Council President or Committee Chair. This language is ambiguous and appears as though it could conflict with the recent determination of the Attorney General's Office OML 123-156, which involves Malden. Respectfully, Brian DeLacy, 1 Earl Street, Malden, Mass.
Thank you. And we have nothing on, no comments there. Thank you. Next order of business, please.
Paper 341-23, minutes for the meeting of September 26th, 2023. Paper 342-23, minutes for the meeting of October 3rd, 2023.
Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Oh, okay. Not sure who got it first. Motion to approve them by Councilor Winslow, seconded by Councilor Condon. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next order of business, please.
Paper 343-23, mayoral reappointment, Ronald B. Hogan, 5 Cider Mill Road, Saugus, Mass. As Director of the Parking Department, said term to expire on June 1st, 2026, confirmation not required. And paper 344-23, mayoral reappointment, Kevin Jarvis, 64 Jewel Street, Georgetown, Mass. As Veteran Service Officer Agent, said term to expire March 1st, 2026, confirmation not required.
Councilor Linehan? Oh, would you like these appointments to not require confirmation? Would you like to place them on file?
My apologies. Yes, please move to place on file.
On Councilor Linehan's motion to place these appointments on file, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The appointments have been placed on file. Would continue? Yes, please.
Paper 345-23, mayoral reappointment, Salvatore Giannetti, 37 Skyline Drive, Malden, as Police Commissioner. Said term to commence upon his confirmation by the City Council and to expire on March 1st, 2026. Paper 346-23, mayoral reappointment, Yem Lip, 28 Constitution Road, Boston, as City Engineer, Director of Engineering Department. Said term to commence upon his confirmation by the City Council and to expire on March 1st, 2026. Paper 347-23, mayoral reappointment, Anthony Rodriguez, 100 Tremont Street, Malden, as Director of Information Technology, said term to commence upon his confirmation by the City Council and to expire March 1st, 2026. Confirmation required on all three.
Councilor Linehan?
Apologies for the sidebar conversation. I'd like to make a motion to approve on the floor, but I have heard from some councilors that we would like to invite some department heads to the Personnel and Appointments Committee for updates on a lot of the projects that have been going on, so just wanted to state affirmatively that I will be doing that in addition to this process.
So does that mean you're referring them to Personnel and Appointments? Or what are you?
I would like to approve these on the floor. I just want to acknowledge that some folks have reached out to me to see if we can bring some department heads in, including these, but also others, and that I am going to move through that process in addition to approving these. Sorry for the confusion.
No, so on Councilor Linehan's motion to approve these appointments, seconded by Councilor Simonelli, all of those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The appointments have been approved. Next order of business, please.
Paper 348-23, petition Livery On Point Transportation, 210 Lebanon Street, Apartment B, Malden, one vehicle new. Paper 349-23, petition Livery AB Limo Services, Inc., 51 Claremont Street, Malden, one vehicle new.
Councilor Sika?
Refer to license.
On Councilor Sika's motion to refer the petitions to license, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The petitions have been referred to license.
Paper 350-23, order that the council president will present the 2023 City Council Rulebook for review and approval by the body.
Councilor Spatafor?
Councilor Murphy for the paper. Thank you. Let me turn your light on, Councilor. I don't know, where's the screen go, Councilor?
Minimize that.
Oh, there we go. I didn't want to touch our screen there. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafor. For those watching, if you're wondering why we're having this little game of chair changing, the council president is not allowed to deliberate papers while sitting in the chair, so Councilor, I have vacated the chair for Councilor Spatafor to take over, so I can talk about the next two papers that are on the docket. As you all know, we've been working on updating the council rule book. It's taken a little bit more time than I think any of us expected this year, but we have come out with a updated rule book, and I'd just like to talk about how this came about. Obviously, we did receive some papers that came to me from the Rules and Ordinance, which I have taken a good portion of and incorporated into this document. What I tried to do in the document, because it was a bit overwhelming when actually kind of got into the entire document, not just looking at one or two pieces of it, was to take the challenge of incorporating what I felt was the most important pieces in order for the council to operate effectively. And that was the consent agenda that this entire body wanted to see as part of the council rules. Also, remote access, so that we as a council can operate effectively if one of us isn't here, especially with what's going on in COVID, kind of a little bit on the rise again. And also looking at the committee of the whole, and how committee of the whole really hasn't helped us move forward with everything that's on our plate. Somehow, 5 or 6 years ago, committee of the whole became almost just a holding place. It really didn't allow the council to do anything in off weeks. It was just something that was on the docket. So we looked hard at, and when I say we, I will say Councilor, Chair of the Rules and Ordinance Committee, Councilor Crowe, has worked with me along with our City Clerk, Caroline Desiderio, as to how we could actually take some of the work that was always happening on the full council nights and offload it to the committee of the whole night, the other Tuesday night that we're supposed to be here working. So as we looked at it, you'll see that this document brings us to the place where on a committee of the whole night, now we can have guest speakers, we can have presentations, we can have public hearings, we can do resolves, we can do emergency meetings, et cetera, trying to take some of the burden off of the council, the full council night, which sometimes runs very, very late. So I was hoping that this would help us balance our workload. And also, if there was nothing that needed to be said on the committee of the whole night, that we would not have to interrupt our committee meetings by having a committee of the whole that everybody has to stop for to bang a gavel and recess out of committee meetings. So the committee would be able to schedule our committee meetings more effectively. So those were some of the big ticket items that I really wanted to see get into this new document. It's not perfect. I'm sure the next council president in 3 months will probably find some things they want to change, and that's their prerogative at that point. The other thing that when we looked at this, we found that we started to look at constitutionality. One of the comments that was just read in here, we had things, what people could or couldn't say when they were speaking to us, which was really against First Amendment. So we've changed that verbiage in here. Maybe it needs, according to what Mr. DeLacy said, maybe it needs to be tweaked a little bit more. But we really did take out those things that really were not appropriate to be in the rule book. There were spelling issues, there were numbering issues. We basically took the pronouns and made them neutral gender, gender neutral, I got it backwards. And we also looked at how we could incorporate to make sure that people understood Robert's rules in the fact that we are bound by Robert's rules. And I think sometimes when we talk about decorum, people are just looking at our rule book, and what we can do when someone is out of order. Well, Robert's rules does cover most of that. So we put, an entry in here saying, we do fall back on Robert's rules. That's how we should be operating. We should be conducting ourselves not just along the lines of what's written in our rule book, but in the overarching Robert's rule book. We also addressed the issues where many times up here on the floor, we are sitting here, how many votes do we need for this? So we documented, what a supermajority is, identified language, because in some places we said full committees, in some places we said committee of the whole committee, not committee of the whole, the whole committee. So we tried to change the language so it was consistent throughout the document. I'm trying to think what else we did. Hold on a second. We added, which came out of the ordinance committee, having a president pro tempore. It's always been the senior person who has taken the chair when the council president's not there. There was a request out of rules and ordinance. They wanted to have a president pro tempore, so left that in there. I'm just trying to think. As I said, we clarified the voting thresholds, the consent agendas there. One of the other things we did is we tried to cross-reference the rules. Different rules are refer to different sections. We tried to make it easier and actually get some cross-references in there. And this was a big one. We've had trouble with people stepping away from the floor when a vote is being called. But they're marked here as present. But yet, when the roll call happens, they're not here. So we basically put a rule in there that says, actually spoke with a couple of other cities, and put a rule in there that said that we will recess until all the counselors who are marked as present are back to the table to be able to take the vote. Because when we take the vote and 2 people are missing, it's like, what do you do with that vote? So, we tried to clarify some of the issues that have been included in there. Had a conversation a little bit on special permits with the ISD unit. That section, I will say, for the future president, probably could use a little bit more work, as well as the Personnel and Appointments Committee, I think, should really take some time and go over what the role of appointing is and how it should work. But that's basically what had come out of our discussion. Now, is it perfect? No. But as I said, and we say sometimes when we pass ordinances, let's put the ordinance in, we can always change it. I think that this has given us, as a council, the ability to move forward and operate more effectively over the next couple of months and into the next session, when you'll have a new president who could opt to change it and continue the work that, that I've started. Happy to take, actually, our person sitting in the chair will take any questions.
Okay. Councilor Condon is first.
Thank you, Mr. Acting President. It's about time somebody did something with this. The worst thing in the world as a counselor that you want to hear is you can't put a simple resolve in on a committee of a whole night. I always said there's no reason in the world, I mean, we meet here, we get credit for attending our council meeting. You get paid to be here. Why should we not be able to put in a resolve? Why should we have to wait 2 weeks? And I talked to you earlier, Barbara. You know how I feel. I've seen it happen. People move reconsideration because they don't want to vote to go through next week. We don't get to discuss that. I know you did a ton of work on this, and you didn't have time to address that, but that would be something in the future that I would like to see. Somebody moving reconsideration, that be taken up the next meeting. There's no reason in the world why that shouldn't be able to be taken up because it's a committee of a whole. Why should we have to wait 2 weeks? Could be a very important paper. To have people come before us to make presentations, we should be able to have them here. Just because it's a committee of a whole, we don't have people here. How many times do we come in here and you adjourn? We adjourn without really taking up business. Yeah, we're here at 5:30, going through our committees and doing our work. But still, to just come in here and just adjourn, it just doesn't stick well with me. So I think you made some great changes, Madam President. It should have been done a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. Yeah, I thought you were wrapping up, that's fine.
It should have been done a long time ago, and thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Councilor
You all
Condon.
set, Councilor Condon?
Yes.
Councilor Condon, Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you. So I do want to remind the council that in 2018, we did completely rewrite the rules. It was at the beginning of the biennial session that started in 2018 and went to 2019. And I mention that because that's the council rule book that we are currently using. Because I do feel it is unusual to rewrite the rules at the end of a biennial session. So we are getting to the end of our 2-year term, and so it's usually the way in which you do these is you rewrite them at the beginning, not the council president, but the council, because they're the council rules, and sometimes the council president leads that charge, but not always. I'm a little concerned with the time frame that's been set up by here and what's being proposed. We've been given a copy of the rules. It's not a redlined version, so it's difficult to know what has been changed, what hasn't been changed. So we're going to have to at least go side by side and read it and try to figure out what has changed. And so I do think that we do need to take some time on this. I don't think this is something that should be rushed because it's literally the rules. And it is how we operate. And I think that the last thing we want is like complete confusion because we don't know which rules apply. There has been statements that amendments will not be entertained. That concerns me because if we are not allowed to amend our own rules, we are amending the rules, so we should at least be allowed to amend what we want to change. I'm concerned that the rules do expand the power of the council president more than probably is appropriate. And I think that's, and the reason why the way we need to amend the rules is we need a supermajority, 2/3. The whole point of that is to make sure that there's broad acceptance and respect for the rules. So it's not a lighthearted thing. We need to make sure that there's broad agreement here. So I do think going about it in this manner does not help with that. And when it comes to like the remote participation, you know, there has been a decision, you know, to adopt an older version of what is allowed. And it's not clear that the council actually has that power. I think it's already been done by the mayor, if I understand correctly. I believe the mayor has already allowed all public bodies to meet remotely. And it's almost like we're specifically not adopting the COVID procedures that allow us to have more flexibility, and we're choosing the less flexible one. So I am excited to have this conversation and amend the rules, but I think it's helpful that we do it in a respectful manner that allows us time to really become comfortable with them. As someone who does value understanding the rules and tries my best to comply with them, I don't want to feel like I'm being rushed into changing the rules without fully understanding them. So I appreciate you understanding where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. I'm still on, right? So just a couple of things to address. First of all, we're not limiting anything that's happened. In actuality, these rules don't supersede anything that has been designed by or put into law by Governor Healy for COVID, which doesn't expire till, I believe, May of 2025? March of 2025. March of 2025. So we're not basically making our rules tighter than what's allowed under the COVID ruling. But you'll see on the next paper that during our research, one of the things we found out is that we did not, the next paper deals with it. I just want to get my little note here. That MGL law, so adoption of remote participation in meeting of public bodies is not permitted unless the practice has been adopted as follows. The Chief Executive Officer, as designed in MGL 4 and 7, must authorize or by a simple majority vote to allow remote participation in accordance with the requirements of 940 CMR 2910 with that authorization, or vote applying to all subsequent meetings of all local public bodies in that municipality. So the next paper basically is going to send it up to the mayor to authorize the fact that all public bodies can meet remotely. So that's actually the next paper that we're gonna sign and send up to the mayor to basically validate that it is okay for all public bodies to meet remotely.
If I could, my understanding, and I know we have Maria Louise from the mayor's office in the audience tonight, who probably could clarify. My understanding is that Mayor Christensen already made this designation, but I could be incorrect, and that it actually is not up. We don't have the power to do this, because when it says local public bodies, or it says the council, where it says basically this 940 CMR 2910, et cetera, gives that power to the executive officer, which is the mayor in a city. But the executive officer in a town is a select board, which is a public body. So that's why they have the public body language in there.
Okay.
But my understanding is that the mayor has already done this.
Well, then that actually, if that is true and we don't need this next one, it will make it a lot easier for us. We can just take that off the paper, but
Well,
the way we interpreted this was different.
Well, and the reason why I mention it is because I will say the most complicated word I've learned in law school is notwithstanding. It's not really easy to understand what notwithstanding. Maria Louise is laughing because I've had conversations with her about it, trying to understand. The way I have interpreted notwithstanding is that you can replace that with the word despite. So the way I read it, it says, and you've adopted this into the rules too, that despite legislation signed by Governor Healy, we are choosing to do something else. That's where I get a little bit concerned, because that language, I know we're not on that paper, but that language has been incorporated into the proposed rules. So that's just where I'm coming at, and I think it's a good example of why I'd rather not rush it, and I'd rather just take the time to really digest it and make sure that we're all understanding that what we're doing actually reflects the intent of what we want. Because we've had that before where we do something, we use words thinking that we're doing one thing, but we've actually done another thing and it doesn't reflect our intent. So I appreciate all the work you've put into this, both you, the clerk, as well as the chair of the ordinance committee. I would just appreciate time to really understand it and become comfortable with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Karen Colon-Hayes.
Oh, thank you. So I agree. I sat down and tried to go side by side with the last version plus this version, which wasn't in red. So as you can see, I've had notes all over the place, and I do have some questions, but I don't feel comfortable voting on it now. But just if you could help me out with some of these, I'm glad, I will say, there's a lot of work here, and there's lots of things I love about it. So thank you for everybody who worked on it. And one of them is, it looks like we took out, so I just wanted to be sure, it looks like we took out that we don't have to take a vote now when we invite guests to appear before the city council. Just want to make sure that that's what, I read that correctly. I thought that was fantastic.
It is limited to 2, though.
It is limited to 2 a night,
so
which makes sense,
right.
totally makes sense. But the fact that we don't have to vote on it and move it out was great. And then the public comment rules, I love, it's very clear, but I just wanted to see if we could add, I think they should be posted somewhere here, so when someone walks in, like they're always asking, what do I do, like people who aren't clear, and if they want to public, if we could just make sure it's posted somewhere so people know where to go. I don't know if that has to be written in there, but.
No, this is
just
our
something-
rules.
okay.
So this is governing this body, that's,
Something that we should just do.
Right.
Okay. So the question I had also on batching the public comments, I wanted to talk a little more about that, how that was done. I know there's been, someone had addressed thinking that some of the time the batching, and I talked to Carol Ann about this, that there was a question on how it was batched. So I wasn't sure who does that, who reads it and batches those comments together when you don't want to read every single one? Like, is it specifically
clerk.
for something that's like exact same thing being read over and over and over again? I totally understand that. So like, what's the process for batching? Should I go through everything and then talk about? Okay. So the public decorum question, I also had questions about how we're going to decide what the wording is for that. And a quick question about the recordings. I had read that people, it says to turn, I want to make sure I got this right, to turn the recordings off for the audience. Like, was that to make sure like their cell phones don't go off? Like, if you could explain exactly what that meant, because in my mind, the first thing I went to, let's say it like as a parent, like someone comes up.
What section are you on?
Yeah, let me see, it was maybe it was the technology, so let me see. Yeah, as I said, it was oh, here it is, okay. 54.07. If the body has decided to make a recording of its meeting, oh, maybe that's, yeah, I have a lot of notes here, but it was saying that someone in the audience couldn't record, which I understand, like you
No,
have to
people
get up
can-
and that's the question then.
People
So
can,
we
people can
go-
record as long as they tell us, just so we can announce
Okay.
it, just like Stephen Moriello recorded
Yes.
a couple of weeks ago. We just have to announce that they're
Yes.
recording.
So that was the question I had, and again, I'm getting nitpicky into this because it's important. To be clear that, let's say, for example, somebody's sitting in the audience and there's a speaker going on that they love, or their child is up there, let's say, and they start recording. Do they, a little piece of our, they take a video of what we're doing? Do they have to announce that, or can they?
I'm sure we wouldn't even know they were doing it,
You have to announce it.
but they should,
do
they
have- so
should
that's
be,
the
and they
question I
should
wanted
be
to-
announcing it.
If you record anybody's voice, you have to announce it. That's a mass state
Because
law.
I see that a lot, I do it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, that's why I'm like, maybe
not
if
the
we be
video,
clear
it's the
about
audio.
that. When people are, just think it's nice,
the
they
audio,
want to
not
show other people in their family maybe what they're doing. So that is a law that I didn't realize that, okay, so that's that question. And then the open meeting law, if there's a complaint, I was just wanted to know what the thinking was behind sending that to the city council first.
That's actually state law.
Okay, so that's why I was asking, okay. So I think, aside from the whole tech part, I have a lot of questions on the technology part, which maybe we'll get into at the next paper, but it looks like some of the language was changed, saying if it's recorded, and by what was passed in the tech committee, it said we were recording all of our meetings, like we were going to offer remote access to all of our council meetings and some of the committee meetings. So it says if in here in a lot of the language, and I just wanted to be clear what that meant. Like, are we making a decision, or is every meeting going to be?
This is basically more focused on us as counselors being able to participate remotely, okay?
I read that.
And it doesn't preclude any committee from setting up a website to their committee. I know that what came out was, I think out of
What
Rules
is
and
going on
Ordinance
here?
was Finance and, guys, what came out of Rules and Ordinance, I believe, was to record Finance and Ordinance. But I think that, you really, why not other ones? So
Oh, I
think
would
that-
like
that-
all of them,
But
yeah.
I think that's something that you can take up, in the next go-around. Right now, I think getting us set up to be able to operate more effectively and efficiently was my goal, was to make sure that we as a council, okay, and that's my focus, operate in the most efficient and effective manner that we can in order to do the people's business. As I said when I started out, I think there's other things that in the future can be done, but let us end the year at least being productive. So by passing this, there's nothing hidden in this, there's no gotchas in this, there's nothing that I snuck in here. It basically is just an attempt to get what people have been asking for all year, like in force. And that is consent agenda, being able to utilize committee of the whole more effectively, being able to accommodate remote access where there's some understanding among us as a council of what we can do and not feel bad about it. If you have to stay home, there's a way for you to participate. You don't have to not be here and not fulfill your role. So, those three things in themselves and cleaning up the constitutionality of what's here, to me, seems like it's a great goal. It's great to move forward. One of the things that is, I don't know if you've read the council rules, you will see that we can't pass this in one night. Okay? So what we're doing tonight is we're saying yes. We're going to amend. We're going to agree or vote on the amendments that have made to this document, but it won't be until, it's almost like, think of it like enrolling an ordinance and then ordaining it, even though it's not exactly that. Okay. So if we vote tonight to accept the amendments as they've been presented, you'll have 2 weeks to go through them. And in 2 weeks, if you decide you hate the damn document, okay, and you don't want anything to do with it, or there's something so egregious in here you can't agree with it, you vote against it. It takes 8 votes to have this pass. So in the next 2 weeks, you'll have plenty of time to review it. If at the end of 2 weeks you like it, it'll pass, and it will be in force for October 31st.
Okay.
Okay? And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, you don't. You can start over again, but don't let this be, let's not nitpick this to death like we did the charter, okay? Because otherwise, we're going to spend, we've spent, I don't even tell you how many hours we've spent on this. We've spent a lot of time on this. To get this in front of you, is it perfect? No. Can it change? Yes. The new president's going to come in 3 months. they might rip the whole thing apart and start anew and come back to you with something else in the beginning of the session, as Councilor O'Malley said. All right,
Yeah, wait, I'm
so-
still at the floor. I just want to finish that up.
So, point of information.
Yep. So,
Council Spatafor, she has a point of information, the clerk.
I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you, sorry to interrupt the debate, but I just want to make a point of information that when it talks about if the
Yes.
recording is made, that's not to say if you do remote participation, so much as what the law says is that you don't have to record your meetings, but if you do record them, they need to be posted. They need to be
Okay.
archived and saved. And so when it says if you record, I think it's referring to that law that says, doesn't need to be recorded, but if it is, you need to get
Okay.
it up online or to the council.
okay,
the
so the
clerk,
general
committee, or whatever.
background is we will be recording, but if we do, these are, okay, that makes much more sense. Thank you for that. Also, just to follow up, I agree. I've been looking forward to these. I think it's great. I don't want to nitpick. I think these are very important matters, especially the technology and being able to view, and for our public to be able to view remotely was my biggest hangup. So this makes much more sense, and the fact that we will have 2 weeks totally is a game changer. So I appreciate that, and because I was marking it all up thinking we had to vote on it tonight, so I'm
Well,
set.
you'd vote to accept the amendment, but
Right, but not,
you'll have time to review it.
okay, no,
Exactly.
thank you.
Thank you, Council. Next up is Council Simonelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I just want to say that, you know, I appreciate the hard work that has went in over the weekend. I know you just got back from Europe, and right away you started working on this, Council President Murphy. And I know that Carol Ann was working alongside you with Peg Crow, Councilor Crow. So my thing is this, you know, we talk about these rules, we talk about all these other things that we need to get done and that we need to move forward on. And then we wonder why that we don't get things moving forward because we nitpick so much. Maybe tonight should be an example of trusting people and not nitpicking, because I don't think you can get a better three to go over this rule book. Carol Ann's in this every day and night, and, you know, Peg Crow's been involved in ordinance for as long as I've known her. And, you know, Barbara Murphy, I mean, you know, I'm biased with Barbara anyway, but I can't say enough good things about Barbara and how hard she works. So, you know, they've worked really hard over the weekend on this. It's something that we really need to do. We need to start moving some things forward. That's what this is all about. I think it's a good time tonight to show solidarity tonight and moving this forward, because, you know, what we're doing here is we're moving this paper forward, and it gives us, as the council president says, 2 weeks to look at it. You know, if we don't like it, within 2 weeks, if you don't get a copy of the changes and look at it, if it means that much to you, then shame on you. Then you know what? You come back to that committee, you bring it to the council president's attention. You like this, you don't like that, you'd like to tweak this, you like to tweak that. Those things can be done. So tonight we're asking for a simple vote. Shouldn't be drawing this out all night long. It's something that needs to be done. And we're just asking to enroll it tonight. You get 2 weeks later, and we ordain it. If there's a problem at that point, you know, then we can talk about it then. But we need to start moving this paper and other papers forward so we can start getting things done for the city of Malden. And people don't realize that, you know, we come up here on Tuesday nights, and we do the city's business on Tuesday nights. We don't do it for ward councilors particularly. We do that stuff above and beyond what we do here on Tuesday nights or whatever meetings that we have to come for the city on all these committees that we belong to. And then on the other time, if there's any left, you work on things for your neighborhood, for the community. Parks, streets, sidewalks, trees being planted, programs for seniors, programs for the youth. All these different things that we do as ward councilors down in our neighborhoods, you know. And then you add all this stuff on, and then it's frustrating as a city councilor to come up here Tuesday night after Tuesday night and not really moving things forward because of the nitpicking. So, you know, and also, you know, when I'm council president next time around, we'll make sure we make changes. No, I just wanted to say that just to get you all riled up. I had to say it. I'm sticking with Steve on the next one. But listen, and again, I think that, like, you know, I like starting trouble.
Can you stick to the
I am sticking to the topic. Listen, hold on, listen, listen, are you debating with me, Council President? Because then you're gonna have to leave the seat. Listen, I'm saying this is my time. They had theirs, let me have mine. I'm saying that, and the Council President thing was brought up before me, so I just thought I'd throw something in there. But anyway, to get serious and back on topic, Council President Spatafora, my friend, I just want to make it clear that making these changes tonight will show solidarity amongst us as councilors, moving the paper forward. And like I said, you got 2 weeks to look at it. I don't think that's a hard bargain. Then you can bring your issues forward if you have any, and we're all set. So I would say that we move this paper forward by enrolling it tonight, and then you got 2 weeks to look at the paper to see if the changes that you see there are good or not. I know I'm being redundant, but that's the important piece here. And then we can ordain it. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you, Councilor. Very profound. Councilor Seeger.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. And this is why we haven't passed rules in 5 years, okay? So I appreciate all your hard work because I reviewed these rules for 2 years. And then Councilor Anderson reviewed the rules, Councilor Spatafora changed some things, and here we are with Councilor Murphy at the end of her term as council president, and we're still reviewing and we're still changing. And looking at these rules, they're a huge improvement to what we are currently working with. So I think everybody up here should be voting tonight, yes, and in 2 weeks, yes, because they are a huge improvement to what we have right now. And if there's something that's missing, that defers to Robert's rules. If there's something in our council rule book that we don't have listed, it automatically falls back on Robert's rules. And then the next council president in January is going to do the same thing. As much as we want to move these rules along, we have 11 different personalities up here with 11 different people who have different ideas of how things should be. So we need to pass this evening, and we need to pass it in 2 weeks. And, you know, I just ran over to Councilor Linehan and asked, how long ago was the meeting that we debated this heavily in Ordinance Committee? And apparently it was about a year ago, just about a year ago. I think it was when Councilor Murphy first stepped in as the chair, because I think we gave poor Councilor Crowe a deadline of February, and here we are at the end of October, still have not passed these rules. So I think that the changes are welcoming. There may be some grammar errors or whatever, or different wording that some people may want to see, but they're far better than what we had 8 years ago. And they address a lot of new current things, such as the technology piece and the consent agenda that Councilor McDonald had introduced that I am dying for. And the fact that we can now conduct some business every other Tuesday instead of coming here to bang a gavel. You know, last week I couldn't make it, but I had no committee meetings, and I was gonna come for 5 seconds to bang a gavel, pledge of allegiance, and adjourn a meeting. That seems silly to me when we could be using that time more productively, like Councilor Murphy said, and having, you know, more committee meetings. We're always fighting for committee meeting space. We'll be able to do that if we don't have anything on the committee of the whole. So I think this is a no-brainer, and although some people have some issues with what is, you know, with certain things in this book, I think we need to pass this book within the next 2 weeks so we can move on, and then, you know, we make the amendments that we need to make with the new council president come January, and, you know, we get right to that. Because if not, like I said, this has been 5 years. We haven't changed this rule book since 2018. Not for the lack of trying, because I spent many days and nights with the former city clerk and Karen Anderson, God rest her soul, and with Kate Fallon, trying to figure out how we were going to get these rules done. And this is what happens. You bring them out, and people want changes. So I think in order for us to move forward, we need to move these rules tonight and in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, I was not on the rules and ordinance last year, and so this is really the first time of looking at it. I was up at 5 in the morning going through these, and I have my own red line strikeout, so I have looked at them in detail, and there's definitely some things that I think we need some clarity on. I really do appreciate the hard work that's here, and I think this is a great step forward. There's a lot of good pieces to make us run better, but I do think that there's some language here that could cause issues in the future if we don't create some clarity. Like, for instance, on section 1.05, there's new language that talks about the annual schedule of council meetings may be adjusted, but it doesn't really say how. So I really think that's a key thing. Does the council president do that? Do we make a vote? Those type of very fundamental things of like when we meet and who runs the meeting is something we need clarity on, because those are the type of things that will be very difficult. On section 1.09, talks about absence, and now that we're having that in the absence of a chair and vice chair, the remaining member can actually schedule meetings and actually chair. I just, maybe we need some definition of actually how absence works. Is that they're gone for 5 minutes, so they have to be a formal letter? There's some concern there. Like I say, when we get things to happen where there's a question of whether people have authority. So that's one of the concerns I have, is that just some clarity there. I think it's, I actually like, if, the idea for President Pro Tem, if that's a way to go, I think that's good. Let me see, going through another one. There's at least another one spot of clarity. Let me just see. So I'm trying not to be nitpicky, but I just think there are things that, I'm also concerned about the rule of 18.01 about if a member's absence of the council, when a vote comes due, it will be recessed. I mean, there needs to be a reasonable time on that. There are legislative bodies where people leave the state to avoid votes, so there can be contentious things, and I just think that I understand there's a pause, but allowing one single member to stop the work of the body because they leave the room, I think that's something that can be abused. So those are the type of things, like these are a few things, those three particular things I just think need clarity, and those are the type of things that an individual member or someone in power can abuse. So I think there's a lot of great things in here, but I'm just concerned about those particular provisions that we need some clarity or some limits on that, so we don't face that abuse. I mean, we're all trying to be more efficient, but if we are not thoughtful about certain things, it could actually blow up in our face. So I think I love a lot of the other things, and I think I'm hearing good things of people, but I just concerned about those three particular provisions need a bit more clarity, so we're not creating disputes because we're not certain. A meeting got scheduled by the council president, but we don't know if that person has the authority. Someone who's absent, the chair and vice chair are absent, so there's a meeting scheduled and no one, is that appropriate? And then also, like, if someone just doesn't like something this council is doing and leaves the room and stops the whole council business, I think it's subject to abuse. It might be around here we can trust, but a term down the road may not. So those are my three basic concerns that are really, I really think, need to change. So I just make those comments. Thanks. Great.
Thank you, Councilor Winslow. Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let me echo my colleagues. A lot of good work here. I was very excited for us to move forward with the consent agenda, the pro tem, the better use of committee of the whole. And I know there's some things that I advocated for, like stopping our business at some point in the night where we don't take up new items that is not in here. That's okay. You don't get everything you want. There's 11 of us. I had a couple of clarifying questions. I just want to make sure I understood about things that I hadn't seen previously. So 1709 says that disciplinary procedures will be followed as set forth by Chapter 20 of Robert's Rules. And what is that? Because when I looked up Robert's Rules, it said it was the order of the day, which is like just calling us back to But maybe I was looking at the wrong
Okay.
version.
I'm just gonna. Basically, while Carolyn's looking for it, there's been talk over the last few months about sanctions and this and handling people who are kind of operating a little bit off the grid. And as opposed to trying to come up with anything, basically, this was saying that we would follow Robert's rules.
Thank you.
And
Oh, look at that, yeah.
be able to utilize what's been written in this book as opposed to trying to recreate it. Which, whether this is in here or not, Robert's rules takes precedence if we don't have anything written. So it's not like we're making this up and just bringing it in. It's in effect for us anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just referring us back to where it's documented.
Right. Oh, yeah, wow, there's a lot of these, aren't
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
you're right.
Naming an offender. Yeah, I mean, I would say, I feel like this is a complicated one because it involves the council exercising power over us exercising power over our peers. So that one stuck out to me as one that I didn't think we discussed, and I was less sure about that particular provision being included because I don't think we've had any discussions about that.
Well, it is included, whether it's
By default of
by
defaulting.
default. By default, it's included. It's already in our rules. This was just a reference for those people who were concerned about there not being, any way forward when there's an issue. There is an issue. There's a whole book that defines it, that we don't really look at. We tend to think it's, the only rules are our council rule books, and that's not the case. This is our rule book, okay? And our council rule book just augments or amends different provisions. So it's there, whether you believe it, whether we've talked about it or not. If somebody wanted to do something, they would follow Robert's rules.
Right, and so we're calling that out in this rule version. So I note that. My other questions were about the virtual participation section, or I'm sorry, it's properly called the
Remote access.
remote access
Yes.
policy. Is that what it's called? Yes. So this is technology policy on remote participation. There we go. So there are some changes I noted from what had been recommended. I mean, some of it is taking out some of the staff and things, which I
Yes.
understand, maybe we don't need to have in our rules necessarily.
And the staff that were referred to in those rules don't report to us.
Okay.
So there to me, would be more of a procedure manual, that once we know we're going to do remote technology or anything like that, we would have to have a separate session with the mayor and come up with a set of rules and procedures that the mayor agreed to for his staff to work with us on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that wouldn't be part of our rule book. That would be really a process and procedure manual that was agreed to by the city council and the executive branch to make sure that we could utilize the supporting resources and staff that we would need.
Sure, yeah, I understand that. My questions are, so who gets to decide under this policy? I just wasn't clear reading this. Who gets to decide if a meeting will enable remote participation or not?
The chair could decide at this point.
The
but
chair of each individual
The
committee?
chair of each individual committee could do it. I will tell you honestly that I didn't go into depth on the remote access participation for, I'm not sorry, excuse me, let me rephrase that. I was more concerned with remote access participation for us, to make sure that we were, as I said, my whole goal was to make us efficient and effective. And this is so that we as a body can participate remotely, and we can participate as a group and have all of 11 of us, voting on the topics as opposed to missing people because they were traveling or they were sick or they broke their leg or whatever happened. Okay, there is a whole other piece I know that can be addressed about actually public access. But at any time, I don't see why a committee chair can't decide that they want to, have a meeting and invite the public into it. We've done that during COVID in a number of situations, but I haven't come up with a set of rules of how that would work.
Okay.
But that's something that can be done in the future and added to this.
Okay.
I don't think it should hold this up and hold up our ability to effectively work as a team.
Sure.
While that's being just kind of decided. and
So,
worked on.
as chair of the finance committee, I can say, we're gonna talk about, I don't know, what are we talking about? We're talking about, rescinding unused bond amounts, I think is the next thing in finance committee. I really wanna make that visible to the public. I can set that up so that people can watch it, separate from the road participation.
As long as it's
As long as it's
docketed,
docketed
yeah.
like that? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. There's also a piece in here that says that, so as a counselor has to notify the chair of their desire to participate remotely and state that reason on request, does the chair have the right to deny that motion?
No,
You just have to notify,
I just have to notify.
okay. And provide a reason.
But it's limited, they should say there's limitation in there 3 times.
Right, yes, which I know we
Which
had
wouldn't
previously,
be
yeah.
like, if it was 3 meetings in the same night, that would only count as 1 time. So, if you were on 2 committees,
Right.
you broke your leg, you couldn't come, and you were on 2 committees, and then you had a full council meeting, you could participate remotely in all of those, and it would only
Got it,
count as 1 time.
right, 3 evenings.
Yeah, 3 evenings.
Okay, thank you. Well, that helps with this. I mean, I would like to see us be able to move forward with this. And I do, the other point that I'll note that we don't have in this is the requirement that public hearings be available, like people can participate remotely. But as long as I think we have the ability to do that and we're not somehow prevented from doing that, then I would hope that we will continue to do that until we have it defined in rules or otherwise that's the case. Okay, that takes care of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley for the second time. All right, fair. Councilor Linehan just put her mic on, and then Councilor Karen Colon Hayes also second time. So yield to you want to yield to Council?
I'll be fast. I just wanted to echo a little bit of what Councilor McDonald was saying and provide some context for the public too, that because when Councilor Spatafora was our council president, he had set under the ordinance committee to look at the rules again, and also that there was an ad hoc committee that was to decide on a technology policy. So the draft of the rules that ordinance had provided to Councilor Murphy just included what our board already passed in terms of our desired technology policy. Obviously, this is a little bit different, and I don't think we should hold things up, but I think that paper does still stand, and as Council President Murphy said, we could always come back to that, incorporate elements of it. I do think that what we had unanimously passed was a desire for public hearings to at least be recorded, and maybe we could work back to some of those things, but I do think I've hosted a lot of hybrid meetings, both for council committees, for community meetings. It is a lot of work and there's a learning curve to it. So I don't want to give the impression that it is simple or easy. And I think the goal is very well intended, but I think it is a lot of work. And so we probably need to just bite off incremental chunks to get towards having that fuller access of recording everything or just more than what we do now. I'm willing to be part of that solution. I hope that we can all have a spirit of learning, but it is a lot of work. So I would just say if folks are interested, that technology policy is something that is still searchable in Granicus. And then the last thing I did want to say is a couple folks had mentioned this concept of having a redlined copy. If there's interest in seeing what ordinance had compiled, that does exist as a track changes document. So I know I had given that to our clerk. If anybody wants it, that would be a simple thing to request if you want to do a side-by-side comparison. But I'll just close by thanking Council President Murphy for all the work. I know just putting together the notes from that committee took us all hours and hours, and so seeing how much, and I know how sometimes you have the intention of getting something done and it grows into a bigger and bigger task the longer that it sits there or you try to work on it and don't know how to word things. It's a ton of work to get this done. So I just want to thank Councilor Murphy for doing that, and as you said, even if it's something that we approve and whoever comes in next could reboot it, but I think it's worthwhile to get it done. We haven't had rules since I've been elected. We've had the rules from 2018. So it's a massive lift, and thank you for taking it on.
Councilor O'Malley.
So if it looks, I mean, I would like more time to do this, but if it looks like we're going to be enrolling this tonight, I'd like to make some amendments. Personally, I think that it would make more sense to table it, to give us all time to actually read it, because we don't have a hard copy. I think everyone except maybe one person doesn't have the rules in front of them right now. Well, in terms of like hard copy, being able to take notes on it, I mean, I think the vast majority, I would wager to say, probably we haven't all read them. I don't think that this is an appropriate way to go about changing the rules. So Rule 6.03, and I'm still reading them, I've already skimmed them once, but I'm going through them again right now. Rule 6.03, which is about requesting information from department heads. That might not, and it says it's subject to the council president's approval. That might not actually comply with the public records law. So I don't know if that is a rule that actually would be enforceable against the member. So that's just something to think about. Whether or not it's implemented doesn't mean it's actually can be enforced.
I believe that hasn't
Hold on
even,
a second, hold on, Council, I want to make sure your mic is on. You like on, Council?
I am, and I don't have the act on. Counselor Clerk has the book with her at the moment, but I don't believe that's changed at all. That's how it exists today. And Madam Clerk, could you just confirm that that's the exact same wording that has been in effect since 2018?
Notice shall contain all matters in which the council may require information, but subject to the rule of the chair, shall not prevent any member from requesting information on any other department matter. If request is made for information not contained in such notice, the department executive shall be given sufficient time as defined by the chair to prepare a response.
So that's different language.
I can go through it again word for word.
If we're having trouble, I can point it out specifically. So there is the sentence, the rules that, I mean, and this is the other reason why having rules that are not redlined makes this a very haphazard way to do this. But you'll see in Rule 6.03, for those of you who have any rules in front of you, it says, the end of the first sentence, subject to the rule of the president.
In the book,
If you look at the book
it
from
says
2000,
subject to the rule of the chair.
Same thing. The chair is the president.
Chair's the president.
The chair is the president.
no, this is entirely different. Notice shall, the new rule says, yeah, this is talking about council members. It's a different rule. The wording has absolutely been changed. It's the new rule says notice shall contain all matters in which the city council may require information, but shall not prevent any member from requesting information on any department matter subject to the rule of the president.
I think the words have been maybe moved around, but they all say the same thing. This says notice shall contain all matters in which the city council may require information. That's the same. But shall not, subject to the rule of the chair, which it says at the end of this sentence instead of in the middle, shall not prevent any member from requesting information on any other department matter.
Yeah, even if, so that could be an example of the old rule also not complying with the public records law, but there's definitely been some wordsmithing there. You know, it's, again, when we don't have a red line version, and doing this kind of like shooting from the hip, it does feel like this is, on Rule 10.02, which has to do with the President Pro Tem, it sounds as though the council president would unilaterally decide who the President Pro Tem would be. So I guess in that, the way that would function is, you know, right now, if the council president is absent, it's Councilor Spadafora, the longest serving continuous member. But if the council president didn't want to appoint Councilor Spadafora or whoever's in that role, could pick someone else to take it.
That's absolutely true, and I will tell you, that came out of Rules and Ordinance, and I was personally not in favor of it, but I put it in there because it came out of Rules and Ordinance.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this is something that the council should designate and not the council president.
No, huh?
10.02.
Personally, I think it's worked fine the way it has been for years, and we don't need a council president pro tem. But I think the senior member that's the way it's been. I've never seen a problem with it. But regardless, this is the way it came out. And once again, if you don't, it's in here now. If you don't like it, you can change it with the next president or talk to the next president about it.
Well, but again, that requires 8 votes, and 8 votes are not guaranteed. So I don't think that premise actually applies. I think that we shouldn't change the rules unless we want to change the rules, because it's not easy to change the rules. But that's my perspective. As Councilor Winslow indicated, Section 18.01 is ripe for abuse. I mean, that sounds like if someone is going to the bathroom, that would hold up a meeting. And we are going to announce on TV that we have to recess the meeting because someone's in the bathroom.
Well,
that just sounds very
Actually, according to the rules,
unprofessional.
before anyone leaves the dais, they're supposed to ask the president before they leave. It's supposed to just get up and leave. That's actually part of the rules, which no one seems to follow these days.
But I think we know that would be, it would be
I
kind of
think
comical to ask another adult if you can go to the bathroom, don't you
No,
think?
I don't think you'd have to say that. You just say, I need to be excused, and then the council president, could either hold the vote, could jump to something else, and come back. But the goal of that rule is the fact that people are leaving during the vote. And yes, Councilor Winslow, I hope nobody would abuse it. Maybe they could. But it's also very difficult when you have 11 people present on roll call, and then you have 9 people for a vote. What do you do with the other 2 who have just walked off the floor because they either don't want to vote or they are off and doing something else? I don't know.
I would also say that one of the rules that we have is that the member who has the floor has the floor, and I think I have the floor right now, and
Sorry, Councilor O'Malley.
I'd like to, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to get into I don't want us to argue. I don't want it to become a situation where we're going tit for tat. I'm just going out there saying these are some of the concerns I have. In terms of Rule 17.09 or any reference to Robert's rules, to Councilor McDonald's point, it probably would make sense to reference a specific version of the Roberts Rules book that we want to be referencing, because if someone's looking it up and they're referring to a different Roberts Rules or a new Roberts Rules or an old Roberts Rules, it could be a circumstance where we're not all actually referencing the same rule book. So I just think we want to make sure that we reference the version that we want to all be using. But again, I don't think it makes sense to do this like this. I think it makes sense to give us time to actually read it and come with our suggestions.
We did that in the ordinance.
It's
Clearly weren't there.
Decorum on the floor, please.
So, I mean, again, I'm still reading them, but my first motion would be to amend Rule 10.02 to strike council president and insert city council, so that the president pro tem is selected by the council and not just by the council president. But that's just my first motion,
Is that a vote?
only if seconded.
Do I have a second? Yep. Correct. Okay, and council, we're going to vote on this one because I want to keep this. This is the council president, the council pro temp is determined now instead of by the council president, it's the council. Is that in every situation or for the year?
It doesn't dictate how it's run.
What happens if what happens if the pro temp is not here? Then what do you go to that?
I think it's a senior member. The rule is confusing. I agree with you, Councilor Spatafor.
That's my only clarification. Would it then go to the senior member? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. Let's take a vote. On Council O'Malley's motion on point 10 point, is it 02?
10.02, motion to strike council president choosing the
Pro temp, and it's for the council, seconded by Council Karen Cologne Hayes. Yes would be to strike it, no would be not to strike and continue, to leave it as is written. Clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon.
No.
Thank you. Councilor Crowe. No. Councilor Linehan. Yes. Councilor McDonald.
No.
Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor Seega.
No.
Councilor Simonelli. No. Councilor Spatafora.
No.
Councilor Winslow. No. Council President Murphy. No. So that failed.
Okay, amendment fails. Next order of business. Sorry, Council, you still have the floor, Council.
No worries. What version of Robert's rules are we using? The one you had? I just want to, so I'd like to amend Rule 17.09 so that it ends by saying Robert's Rules 11th edition.
Okay, that's a motion. Try to see if this is what's the.
And again, that's just so that
There is a
we're,
12th edition, but there's 11th.
Yeah, that begs the question, what happens? You're going to have to update this book every
Every-
single time?
no, I just think that we make sure that we're using the 11th edition, because that's the one that they've given to all of us.
Yeah, that's the one they've been referencing, so we'll go with that. And then next year,
Up until now, but a 12th version is now out, which means we should be.
But we don't have to buy it. We can just continue to use the 11th.
you'd have to change. I don't think there's big changes in these things every year, but you can look at it next year as part of a review process. So on Council O'Malley, I need a second on the referencing.
So basically, I'm just asking that we add at the end of 17.09 that it would read, disciplinary procedures shall be followed as set forth in Chapter 20 of Robert's Rules, 11th edition. Right now, it just says Robert's Rules.
I got a second? Council so I have a second, so on Council O'Malley's motion, seconded by Council Karen Cologne Hayes, clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon. No. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Linehan. No. Councilor McDonald. Yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor Seega.
No.
Councilor Simonelli. No. Councilor Spatafora.
No.
Councilor Winslow. Yes. Council President Murphy. That fails.
Next one. If there is one.
So just to clarify, like, we could all be using different rules then? That doesn't sound clear.
Well, I think by your own statement and admission, we were all given the 11th book, so that's the reason why I voted for it, because we were all using the 11th book.
We haven't had this problem in the 10 years I've been a city council.
That's the reason why. We're using the 11th one. I don't want to reference the 12th because we haven't looked at it yet.
I will let others take the floor.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Karen Cologne Hayes. I do have two other lights, so let's just be cognizant of the fact, because I'm only acting president, I'm not getting paid for this. Counselor Hayes.
Okay, thank you. No, I will be quick. I almost forgot what I was going to say, but it was just to say, I wanted to ask these questions. I'm glad that these questions are being asked on the floor for transparency, so the public who is watching can see all these questions. So I don't feel like it's tit for tat. I don't feel like it's a waste of time. I feel like this is very important. So I'm very glad to hear, again, I just wanted to state that we have 2 weeks to look at this. I want to be very clear about that. I have no problem voting this now. If we have 2 weeks and I can send you some of the things that I want changed, then I'm fine with this. But I just don't like if people are chastising people for asking questions. It's just something I don't feel is right to do. So I'm glad we're asking the questions, but let's just move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Winslow.
Yeah, I do have some amendments just on the points I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
So my amendment for section 1.05 would be to add at the end of that, the last sentence would be to say the annual schedule.
Did you say section 105, just so I'm clear?
Section 1.05 would be to add at the end of that section that basically saying the annual schedule of city council meetings can be adjusted by majority vote of the council. I would add those words at the end of that sentence to clarify that. So that it would read, "The annual schedule of the city council meetings may be adjusted as needed to avoid conflicts with holidays or other events to maximize public participation by a majority vote of the council." So,
Okay, so on Counselor Winslow's motion, seconded by Counselor O'Malley's motion on section 105, that it needs a majority vote to alter the council calendar. Clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Counselor Condon. No. Counselor Crowe. No. Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor McDonald.
Yes.
Counselor O'Malley.
Yes.
Counselor Seega.
No.
Counselor Simonelli. No. Counselor Spatafora.
Yes.
Counselor Winslow.
yes.
Council President Murphy. Yes. Okay, that passes.
Okay, and then just another one on section 1.09. I would strike the language that said the senior member may schedule meetings, and I would replace that with that the senior member could call scheduled meetings to order. So that way the meetings could go ahead. I think that's the experience we've had, but it's just weird to think that someone's temporary filling in would schedule a meeting. So that would be a clarity. So it would read, in the absence of the chair and the vice chair, remaining members in the order they were named to the committee may call scheduled meetings to order and act as chair. So that way, in the instance where a chair, vice chair is not available, the remaining members, if they're a quorum, they can hold the meeting and go forward, but they're not scheduling meetings or anything like that. So I just, yeah, I just, what? I just think that's why we have chairs and vice chairs. So, yeah. So I just think it's, to have the clarity, that's why we have chairs and vice chairs. That's, all right.
Clarification
All right,
on that.
great.
All right, we have debate. Counselor O'Malley.
Yeah, this was something that we specifically added in 2018 to allow the members of a committee to schedule a meeting. The reason for that was that in the past, there have been circumstances where the chair of a committee wouldn't call a meeting, and there was no way for the majority of the members of that committee to actually have the meeting called on a particular matter. So this was about empowering the committee so that one chair of a committee couldn't stop the work of a committee. It shouldn't happen, but it has. So I'm not in favor of changing this, because I think that if you have a committee and the majority of a committee wants to have a meeting on something, they should be able to schedule that, even if the chair doesn't want to. It would be like the council president saying, you can't put a paper on our agenda.
I'll withdraw my motion, and it's something we got to work out, because it really revolves around what is absence, because it only says here that the other committee members can schedule when there's an absence. So I guess I'll just withdraw it, because it really revolves around what absence means. So I don't want to get too nitpicky, and I understand where Councilor O'Malley's coming from, but I think that's going to take.
So I get a motion to withdraw. I need a second.
Yeah.
On Council Winslow's motion to withdraw his amendment for section 109, seconded by Council Simonelli. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And then
Motion's withdrawn.
I have just one more on section 18.01. That would be the council president will briefly recess the meeting until said member returns, so that there be some, and that's where the trust is, or whatever, that I trust the council president and the members to respect that. But I think that way, if someone abuses it, and I just think putting that word briefly in will help put some limitation on that member. So that would be just adding that one word, briefly, so that, we would hold the meeting briefly, but it wouldn't be forever. So just to be clear, yes, okay, great. Thank
All right, so that's section 1801, correct?
Yeah.
Councilor Winslow, it's section 1801, just want to make it sure.
Yeah, section 18.01, we amend section 18.01 to add, after the council president will, and then we put the word briefly, recess the meetings.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's in the minutes that we reflect this, and once you listen to it, we know
so
the
that's-
exact
all right,
the
great.
passage you asked for.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so on Councilor Winslow's motion to amend section 18.01, adding the word briefly, everybody heard him say it, and briefly to the recess. The
Council
Council
President
will briefly
briefly
recess
recess
the meeting. Last sentence in that paragraph, seconded by Councilor Murphy. Clerk will call the roll. Let's do it.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Counselor Condon. Counselor Crowe. Counselor Linehan. Counselor McDonald. Counselor O'Malley. Counselor Seega. Counselor Simonelli. Counselor Spatafora.
Yes.
Counselor Winslow.
Yes,
Council President Murphy.
I give up the floor, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Simonelli. Oh, that's good, thank God. Next order of business? Oh. Well, hold on, I got Counselor Crow's got the light on, hold on 1 second.
No, I just want to make a motion that we adopt the amendments as presented.
Okay, on Counselor Crow's motion to adopt the amendments as presented, seconded by Counselor Seega, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Counselor Condon. Counselor Crowe. Counselor Linehan. Counselor McDonald. Counselor O'Malley.
No.
Counselor Seega. Counselor Simonelli. Counselor Spatafora.
Yes.
Counselor Winslow.
Yeah.
Council President Murphy.
Carries 10 to 1. Clerk will call the next order of business. Right? Council President, are you withdrawing the next one? Let me put your mic on, Counselor. I'm talking to you, and I should, let me put your mic on, Counselor. It's weird clicking my own name on there, but go ahead, Counselor.
Ms. Louise,
Do you come to the podium?
Could you
wanna
come
ask
to the
her
podium,
so we can
please?
record it? Have her state her name and address for the record. One second, I gotta put your mic on. Mic is live.
I will be very happy to withdraw this next paper so we don't have to talk about it. We can move on. If you can assure me that we are in good standing with what has been done at the executive level without the council having to send a paper up to the mayor to make this all happen.
Yeah. Carolee, do you mind reading that again,
Certainly,
please?
yep. Order.
Just want to make sure I have it right.
Notwithstanding the legislation signed by Governor Healy extending certain COVID-19 relief measures as outlined in Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 to expire March 31st, 2025, the City Council will adopt the practice of remote participation in meetings of local public bodies as outlined in 940 CMR 29.10-2A, with such authorization extending to subsequent meetings of all the local public bodies in this municipality.
The answer to that would be yes.
Okay, so I can withdraw this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to withdraw paper 352,
351.
sorry, 351-23.
Okay, on Councilor Murphy's motion to withdraw paper 351-23, seconded by Councilor Simonelli. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Counselor Condon. Yes. Counselor Crowe. Yes. Counselor Linehan. Yes. Counselor McDonald. Yes. Counselor O'Malley. Yes. Counselor Seega. Yes. Counselor Simonelli. Yes. Counselor Spatafora.
Yes.
Counselor Winslow. Yes. Council President Murphy.
Yes.
11-0, paper is withdrawn. Next order of business, I believe the Councilor Murphy will come back to the chair, correct?
Yep.
Unless you like.
No,
Say-
no. I like being a bystander.
Excuse me.
It was way longer than I expected.
Paper 352. Order that the Rules and Ordinance Committee work with the Mayor's Office, City Planner Michelle Romero, and the Office of Strategic Planning and Community Development to develop and publish a request for proposals to engage an outside consultant to assist with modernizing our zoning to better accomplish the city's goals of smart growth. Be it further ordered that this combined effort focuses on responsible zoning, which encourages growth, that diversifies our tax base, and is informed by input from city leaders on the impact to our city from residential, industrial, and commercial development.
1 second, this is small. Councilor Spatafora for the paper.
Thank you, Madam President. this is something that I've been debating, putting the paper in for probably 5 or 6 months, when we had Mr. Hogan come down the second time to talk about the school funding issue, and that everybody up here is very clear on that discussion. And I think there's many members of the council that have talked to state delegation to help work that. I think we sent a resolve actually to support that. And with the evolution of our city and the changing needs of it, we must adapt, and certainly no exception is to the modernization of our zoning. One amendment I do want to make early on is I do want to add the word master plan into that discussion. The reason why is I did not just rush to send this out. Like I said, I've been working on this. I've been working with Debbie Burke. We're looking for a funding mechanism, which I talked to Alex Pratt today, which we think we can use community block development grant money if we put the word master planning in there, because they can use a certain amount of that money that comes in out of we believe, the percentage that the old MRA, I forget the Strategic Office of Planning, gets to administer those grants. They get, I believe it's 8 or 10%, don't quote me. They get that to administer those grants, and now that those employees are now part of the city, they still have that funding mechanism, so we can use some of that to do a master plan. And the master plan for me is, we've all talked about it. I know Council Winslow talked about the bike path, modernizing that. We've talked about the river. But certainly identifying areas for improvement and recommendations are certainly needed. My passion there is, and I've been saying this over and over, we are about 89% residential right now. We are probably going to lose some commercial and industrial tax base with the MBTA zoning. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's what's happening. But at the very least, we can either rezone some areas to include more commercial space, or at the very least, protect what we have left from the industrial and commercial space. Because we all know that if we don't keep that base somewhat stable, it's gonna drive up the residential rates and really gonna make it even less affordable to live in the city of Malden, right? There's really not a balance. So my thought process is, not just by modernizing the zoning, we also have to look at ways to make those concentrations somewhat static, or at least grow up, my personal preference, the industrial and the commercial. With that being said, this paper is going to be sent to ordinance. I've worked with the mayor's office. I talked to Michelle Romero. Alex Pratt and myself had a conversation today, so everybody's in agreement. The one ask they did is say they put the master plan there. I would support anybody to jump on this paper, but I think it's something that we definitely need to do. And something that I think quite literally, if we don't do it, we're going to, the next body, whether it be 2 years councils or 3 councils, is going to be dealing with the problem that's going to be even more than being less affordable for those residents on the edge. So I would love everybody's support. It's going to go to ordinance. Then Alex Pratt will certainly come down with Debbie Burke. We'll figure out an RFP process to get that out. I'd love to see something by the end of the year. Probably not going to happen, but at least get the ball rolling next year so we can work on it. Any questions, happy to answer them, but that's the thought process.
Oh, and we have a lot of lights. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, no, I know this has come up in several topics as we had the MBTA community briefing. And I just want to make reference, as we're talking about this, we did pass a paper, paper 2222 of 2023 on May 24, 2023, talking about, along the bike trail. So I just referenced that. I don't think we have to amend the paper, but that should be something that would be considered in the master planning. But I am supportive of this idea, and it's something we really need to go forward, and I support the idea of including the master planning language. Thanks.
Yeah, if I could just answer that, my hope would be that they look at the.
One moment. There you go.
My hope is that the master plan would be inclusive of all areas of the city of Malden, not just picking. I would want to look at the entire zoning map in the entire city as part of that master plan.
Councilor Cologne Hayes.
Thank you. I think this is long overdue. Thank you very much for putting this together. I just wanted to say I'd like to be added as a sponsor.
Councilor Condon.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to ask the sponsor, where did you get those numbers of residential versus commercial? Because the last numbers I heard, it was like 24% commercial. And, I mean, are those solid numbers? Or?
Those are solid numbers. It's like 81%. was 51% rental, but the residential tax base is right now about 89%.
89%?
Yeah, if you think about it, it's not hard to figure out.
Yeah, well, so the way I look at it, everybody's excited about this MBTA change in zoning. But doesn't that go against exactly what you're talking about? Because it's only going to increase the residential. So why is everybody so excited over the MBTA building by right? You think they're building by right to make us a better city?
Nope.
I don't.
I can give you a real life example that I looked up. There was a piece of property generating. I'm sorry, your mic is not.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, I'll turn you back on.
Turn on, because it always gets. I'm on. I can give you a real life example. There's a parcel that I looked at, a resident that owns a parcel wanted to build commercial, residential. Right now, it's $70,000 in a commercial tax base. The services the city provide are basically zero. There's no police, fire, schooling. Put 50 units there, you're gonna get a lower tax rate, and there'll be some city services. I don't know how many, but let's say there's 3 kids. So your net is not gonna be the same to the city bottom line, not including the city services. So that's why I think mixed use is part of it, but it's also, there's areas where we gotta just be smarter when we rezone that. I think on the waterfront or on the bike path, yeah, residential is certainly a component, but I think we have to really start looking at protecting what we have, because and the school funding formula we know it doesn't work in our advantage. So we're just making matters worse for the next set of councils up here. And it's gonna be more and more expensive as that tax base gets smaller and smaller, because industrial and commercial pay more than the residential tax base per thousand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you good? Oh,
No, could I speak?
absolutely, you're still on. You still
Yeah,
have the floor.
I just get a little aggravated, because what you're saying is true. We are way out of whack, because Everett is the opposite. Everett's probably 70-30, commercial versus residential. But to me, it's very aggravating when they say you have to do this, or you're going to lose any grant money. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad for this community. It's all about the dangling grant money under your nose to make you feel like you have to vote this way, when it really, it's you're allowing people by right to build what they want, regardless of what the parking is. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Councilor Condon. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank the sponsor for this. I think this is, as many folks have said, a long overdue conversation. I know our current master plan dates to 2010, which is an eternity ago. And that's because they're a lot of work and it takes a lot of deliberation to craft them. So, it's right that they take a long time and they should stand for a while, but our community has evolved, and I think it's definitely time that we look into this. One of the pieces of feedback that I had given Councilor Spatafora that I just want to put out there is that I do think if we need to look at the commercial tax base, a master plan is, by the time you advertise an RFP, interview applicants, get somebody in place, it's going to be a year and a half before you're getting anywhere near to completing that. So I would love for us to just connect with OSPCD about what we can do more in the shorter term on the economic development side, because I do think that we need to sort of do both things, but this is a very worthy endeavor, but I think it's not going to solve next year's budget or the year after, so we need to be thinking on multiple tracks. And then the last thing I did just want to say for transparency's sake is that I suspect a lot of us are going to want to be added to this, but I've actually intentionally asked to not be added as a sponsor because I think it's virtually impossible that my employer is not going to want to bid on something like this, so I want to just take myself out of the equation now. And it does mean that if this moves forward, that probably for the parts of the process where we're evaluating, I won't be able to take part in that, but I think this needs to move forward, and if the choice is for me to not be part of evaluating or discussing that, then I think that's something that the community still wants, but I won't be sponsoring this just for that reason. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you. I also want to thank the sponsor for getting us to this stage, and this is sort of like showed up a couple times at this table, so like, yeah, let's fish or cut bait on this. I just want to echo the points that Councilor Linehan began to make, which is like, I think the timing of this really will matter, and, you know, I would ask the sponsor, you know, could we be open to something that might be more like a building blocks approach, so we don't have to bite it all off at the same time, because I think being able to figure out what's going to actually generate the best income, because I think that mixed use will be a part of it. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to get is high enough value parcels that we're generating new revenue. And I do want to be clear that anytime we're building something new, it is helping the tax base. If we're building commercial, it can bear more tax burden than residential because you can't target that way. But all new housing does help build the tax base. It's just that, you know, sometimes more people, if we assume that more housing means more people coming to live in Malden, then that may come with other costs to city service. I actually don't necessarily assume that, because I hear regularly from people in Malden that they, you know, would love to find some place where they're not living, you know, 4 or 5 people into a house. So I'm not sure that it's always a 1-for-1, but I just want to be clear, like, I want to see us be able to build our tax base, and we talked about that at the point that we addressed the budget. So just that, you know, I'm really open to what our OSPCD staff can help us scope out in terms of timelines with this, but I think we're going to have to be real about, like, you know, we need to increase the amount of money coming into this city by millions of dollars year over year in order to avoid a situation in the not so distant future, maybe, you know, 2-3 fiscal years from now, where we are forced to make hard choices about eliminating positions. Like, we do not want to be in that position with the city, and this is what this takes. So I just hope we can prioritize. I want to see the holistic approach. I just also want us to prioritize where the urgency is so that we can be proactive in that way. Thank you. Glad to co-sponsor.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, a lot of good questions in terms of, you know, long-term vision, short-term, you know, goals. I would welcome that. I think that's one of the reasons we go to ordinance. I think we start the long-term planning with the master plan. We could use some funding for that. And then in the meantime, if there's a quicker way to look at economic development or protect certain areas and incentivize growth, exactly. Incentivize growth in certain corridors to keep businesses either here. You know, we've got a couple manufacturers in the city. Hoff's Bakery is one of them that we use that. I think we use a TIF to get them there. But I mean, there's certain areas of the city that we know there's an established commercial corridor there. At the very least, let's try to incentivize that corridor to grow more commercial space, increase that value, instead of just saying, let's just remove it and do something else. So I think that can be still part of the discussion, and we'll look to the experts in the planning to help us make that decision. But at the very least, this starts moving that giant boulder known as the master plan forward.
Thank you, Councilor Spatafora. And from the chair, I also would like to be added as a sponsor. I really appreciate you bringing this forward. I'm sorry I'm not going to be here to see the culmination of this. Public input, there you go. You know, it truly is, I think, probably the most pressing issue that this council is going to face in the coming years, and that really, you know, everyone's eye needs to be on, have focus on this and move it as quickly forward as we possibly can. So thank you. Seeing no other, Councilor O'Malley, I'm terribly sorry.
Thank you.
Did this pop up there?
I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor. I would say that if we are looking to encourage more commercial tax base, I know last session, last term, we did pass a zoning overhaul that allowed more commercial development by right, particularly in our industrial zones. I would say that the same way we are looking at making more housing by right in order to avoid the, you know, back end nitpicking that we all have to do. We could do the same and expand that to allow more by right development in industrial and commercial. The risk of that is the same, that we really need to have minimum design standards. We need to have minimum standards of what we expect, because if you allow things by right, as Councilor Spatafora knows, you know, you don't have the chance to really kind of look at what's happening, and you can end up with things that maybe are not the best for the community. So I think the answer here would be to allow more of that by right. But I'll be honest with you, whether it's the MBTA community zone or this, I don't think we should rush it. I do think we should slow our roll a bit and make sure that we do the time to say, okay, what do we want? Otherwise, we're gonna get stuck with a lot of ugly stuff that is just not gonna, I think, be in the character of the neighborhood. And, you know, it's gonna come down on our shoulders. So I look forward to working with you on this, as well as the MBT community zone, to make sure that, like, what we do end up having built, once we take our hands off the wheel, we won't be disappointed with. Thank you.
Okay.
We have two motions on the floor right now, and neither one of them has been seconded yet.
Okay.
So the first
Council Clerk.
First motion is that Council Spatafor made a motion to add the word master plan to the language at the end of the sentence, last sentence, first paragraph.
On Councilor Spatafora's motion to add the master plan to the verbiage, seconded by Councilor Simonelli. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That has passed.
Okay, and then Council Spatafor made a motion to refer this order to the Rules and Ordinance Committee.
On Councilor Spatafora's motion to refer the paper to Rules and Ordinance, seconded by Councilor Spatafora. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, you put your mic on. Well, we're in the middle of the vote. The motion's made.
No, yeah, it was on the motion. So why don't we just pass it and refer it? Like, why do we need to refer it? Why doesn't it just make sense to pass this on the floor and refer it to the Rules and Ordinance Committee to work on?
It's technically an order saying that the Rules and Ordinance Committee is going to go out and seek information. So you're ordering your committee to do some work.
And work with the planner and.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't mean to like circumvent you, Councilor Spatafora, but I think if your motion is to approve, I would second it.
Path, I don't have a problem with. I mean,
Oh, well.
you should ask the chair of ordinance.
I mean, it does make sense that we would pass this, that we're empowering the city, the ordinance committee to work with the mayor.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, so on Councilor Simonelli's motion to pass the order
Adopt the order.
adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Simonelli. All those,
You said Council Simonelli.
Council Spatafora, sorry.
You can't make a motion and then make a second.
I know we all sound like Cimarelli's bad.
On the motion of Councilor Spatafora to adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Simonelli.
I know what you meant, Council Murphy.
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Councilor.
You're welcome.
Oh, my good God.
Okay.
Next order of business, please.
We're getting there, guys. Hang in there. Paper 353-23, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 12.32.060 definition zoning is hereby amended by adding under paragraph B, retail car wash, an establishment operating a facility that provides motor vehicle washing, vacuuming, or cleaning service to the public using either automatic, manual, or self-serve methods. A retail car wash establishment does not include establishments that perform vehicle washing, vacuum, and cleaning services in association with vehicle sales or rental facilities, or as a courtesy by motor vehicle repair shops to vehicles being repaired. Be it further ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 6.12.010 hours of operation in general is hereby amended by adding under paragraph A, retail car wash, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Councilor Winslow for the paper.
Yeah, no, this is just, we have the new car wash on Broadway, and we're already getting complaints from neighbors about longer, they operate from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., and how loud it is. It seems like maybe they even have a louder operation than the one on Eastern Avenue. So this is to basically, we need to create a classification for retail car wash to define that, and then limit their hours and the use regulations. I have gotten comments back from City Planner Michelle Romero, and we can, if we refer this paper to Rules and Ordinance and to make those changes, then send it to Planning Board, then we can get this rolling. But it's, they have, the new car wash has a high powered, almost like a hair dryer kind of thing that's being very annoying. And the current, the car wash on Eastern Avenue operates from 8 to 6, as does a lot of these facilities in other communities. So I think we're just, we don't have any specific hours for this business, and this is the way we would do it. So this is just to limit those hours, which is still reasonable. There's still longer hours, but it's just to give the residents some relief and to be consistent with what other car washes are doing in Malden and other communities. So, and also just, being aware that there are businesses that do car washing services, but this is really retail car washing, not the other type of car washing or cleaning that goes on with people who are servicing or leasing vehicles. So that's really the intent there.
So on Councilor Winslow's motion to refer the paper.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Counselor, not paying attention. I know, Councilor O'Malley.
I was just gonna joke. I was just gonna jokingly say that technically we should be in recess right now because not everyone's here. But I'm not gonna push the topic. I'm not gonna push the topic. This is true. They're just enrolled. You're right. Okay. Just saying. So I'm contrary to popular thought or opinion, I do own a vehicle, and I like to get it car washed. And, as you all know, sometimes it's difficult to fight through the traffic, not just in Malden, but like literally everywhere. And a lot of people get out of work at like 5 and can't get back to Malden by 6 o'clock. And it can make it pretty difficult for people to wash their car if we require them to close at 6. So I'm just saying for those car drivers out there that I know love me so much, that I think we should make this a little bit later. I don't know how late they're open to now, but 7, 8 o'clock doesn't seem unreasonable in a business district. We just had a conversation about encouraging and helping our businesses. I think allowing them to operate during relatively normal retail business hours is okay. So I can't support it as written, but I hope that we can take a look at it and get to the best possible result. Thank you.
Councilor Sika.
Thank you, Council President. I actually agree with Councilor
just gonna say, I
O'Malley
knew
for the
that. I was
first
gonna
time,
say,
and
yeah,
I couldn't
it's
tell you
over.
how long.
I know.
When I received this email last week, I was a little confused. This car wash has only been open maybe about a month. How many complaints have you gotten about this car wash?
We're getting complaints from Lodgton Court, which is a lot of people, so.
Lodgton Court is actually, I went there today to see how far away Lodgton Court was, because I had a funny feeling that was where the complaints were coming from.
Yeah.
And I could have a party and have a radio on till 10 p.m., but one of our businesses can't, stop it. One of our businesses can't operate, it sounds like they're only open till 9. I am not in support of this ordinance. This is a reason why we only have 11% of commercial real estate here in the city. I think we might as well put a big, huge sign up that says Malden does not want you to come and do business here, because I don't remember life without Sonny's Car Wash on Eastern Ave, and this paper right here is going to prohibit them from having their self-serve, if I'm reading this correctly, their self-serve bays are going to be closed at 6 p.m.?
So right now, they're saying that they operate from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah, the car wash itself operates from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., but you can go at all hours of the night and use the self-service bay off to the side, or go and vacuum. If, I'm a mother, so if I have a child who has an accident or, gets sick in my car, I'm going to go to one of those vacuums at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, or on a summer night when it doesn't get dark until 8:30, I'm going to use the car wash when I get out of work at 6 o'clock.
So-
I'm not going to, I cannot support this paper. because it's not just, Sunny's and Prestige, that is on, a highway business, basically. It's all the mom and pop retail car details, it looks like. The only people that you're excluding from this particular zoning change is people who fix cars or vehicle sales and rental facilities. So Enterprise can still vacuum a car at 9 o'clock at night, but, Pro Cars on Broadway can't clean cars. And I've seen them open sometimes 9, 10 o'clock with all their lights on back there. You got to get your work done when you can get your work done. I just think that this might be a little bit too premature. And if they're closing at 9 and our noise ordinance is till 10, I don't think that we should be regulating the hours of car washes. Thank you.
Yeah, these are all great inputs. That's why we have a council. So, but we are getting complaints from this new businesses immediately. So it is a change in the neighborhood, and I'm here to advocate for the folks in Ward 6. So willing to, work more, but I definitely think that we should have some reasonable hours for this. So, that's my concern, and I'm willing. I wrote it, and I'm willing to. I'd like this to be referred if we can have further discussions, and ultimately we vote it down. That's up to the council as a whole. But I do want to have the opportunity to take councilors' feedback and see if we can work on something that works for the residents of Ward 6 and takes those concerns into account, just like we did with Councilor Khan. And I'm trying to follow that model where people were showing up at midnight. That's the type of thing that, just really, like I say, I want to have that discussion just like we had there. So that's what I just want to have that discussion. Ward 6 folks are asking for this discussion to happen, and that's really we're not passing it tonight. This is just refer it. So it's good to hear these concerns already, and I'm willing to work on a fair thing. And ultimately, we'll see what comes out of rules and ordinance and planning, and then the whole council can see whether that's reasonable or not. But so thank you. Great.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that, both of those car washes are pretty much in my ward. As you know, Sonny's Car Wash has been in my ward forever. It's there. And the new one that opened up, even though we've done some district changes, it still affects a lot of people in Ward 7, even though is that your ward or is that Steve's? All right, that's you. So it borders all three of us. And so a lot of people from my neighborhood go there. So I'm going to say that this is a good paper. And this is a good paper that we should be discussing. And I also agree with you, Counselor, that I think, we should allow them, 6 o'clock might be too early. We allow them to stay open a little bit later so people can go after work and do some self-cleaning for their cars. I don't think that's a bad recommendation. But I just want to say that in support of the paper, I do get a lot of complaints from Sonny's Car Wash. I haven't gotten any complaints so far from that location except when the thing broke and smashed a few people's cars or something. But other than that, when they had a grand opening, they didn't have the machine working right. I guess it dented a few people's cars and a couple from my ward, so they called me and told me, and yeah. But as far as the noise goes, as far as people out there cleaning, like I have Almont Street that's right behind it, and then I got Newton Street, and I got Bryant Street where people live in, and they're dealing with that car wash all day, and everybody knows Sonny's Car Wash. That place is busy morning, noon, and night whenever they're around. So, and I do it. They put up a fence that was supposed to help with the noise, because I have been through this before. It's not the first time that we've talked about this in Ward 7 with the Sonny's Car Wash. But they're working hard. They do a good job. I agree with, we want to be more inviting to businesses coming into the community. But I think we need to meet somewhere on a middle ground as far as what time they should be shutting those things. I don't think they should be able to come and vacuum their car because they can't sleep. It's 2 a.m, and you got the people next door or across the street that got to get up with 3 kids in the morning. And, some person that's rude going there at like 2 a.m, start, running that vacuum. And the thing's loud. So, I think maybe when the place is closed, so are their self-service pieces. And I think that's fair enough. When they're closed, those are closed. That would be fine.
Yeah, no, so
Right?
This is just a draft paper.
Yeah. So I think it deserves merit to look at it.
Now that we can put together the plan.
So we're gonna refer this to ordinance, folks.
Yeah.
How's that? Council Winslow's motion to refer this to ordinance, where it's supposed to be talked about. Do I have a second?
Now you got it.
Do I second Councilor Simonelli? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Will paper is, referred to ordinance. We have one. Your mic is off. No, it's okay, I spoke loud enough. I think everybody heard me.
Paper 354-23 resolved.
You're supposed to wait for me to say next order of business.
No,
He's trying to rush us.
no.
I mean, look at the time.
At least somebody is.
Councilor McDonald, we might be here after 10 taking up business. Next order of business, clerk.
Paper 354-23 resolved that it is the sense of the City Council that they wish to invite the Malden River Works Steering Committee to appear to present updates to the Malden River Works project.
Well, that is very explanatory. I don't think much more needs to be said. Do you, Councilor?
Send it. Send it.
No, just, I am the council representative to the Riverworks project, and I've been having enough difficulty getting to the meetings myself, so probably having them all come and talk to us will make sure I am here as well as all of you and give an update. There has been a significant grant granted to the project to help on the DPW side, and then they can just talk about, what the plans are for more grants. So let's go. All right, motion to approve.
On Councilor
Send it.
Winslow's motion to approve the resolve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next order.
Next order of,
Sorry.
I get help now. Next order of business, please.
Paper 355-23 resolved that it is the sense of the Malden City Council that the City of Malden work in collaboration with the Board of Health and Building Inspector to update MCC 9.04.010A relative to overgrowth of vegetation so as to protect and allow for sustainable landscaping and naturalized lawn practices, including but not limited to pollinator gardens, perennial wildflower meadows, and other non-manicured methods of cultivation, exempting such practices from the nuisance category of our municipal health code with the final discretion by the Board of Health Director.
Councilor Linehan for the paper, or the resolve, sorry.
Yes,
I had you on, I thought. Oh.
I won't touch it. Okay,
There you
thank
go.
you,
Okay.
Madam President. And I did just want to point out, I had actually filed this as an order. I'm hoping to refer to ordinance. It looks like it got docketed as a resolve, which I did not catch until just now.
Okay.
In the spirit of keeping it brief and referring things to committee for discussion, just the very quick background is that this is something that emerged, as so many good ideas do, from community members looking for clarity in our ordinance around if they're looking to convert their yard away from traditional lawn and adding elements that are, pollinator gardens or more natural landscaping, that we carve out room in the ordinance to do that. So I brought the request to Chris Webb of our health department. He was very supportive and said that it's something that he had actually been thinking about, and that there are other changes that he'd like to also see to this particular part of what we call the nuisance code. Things like if people want to plant flowers in tree stumps or tree wells, or who's responsible for keeping sidewalk overgrowth clean, just kind of modernizing all that overgrowth and weed ordinance so that it is reflective of what current landscaping practices are and gives us room to allow some of those newer things that are not just cut your lawn when it reaches this many inches, and if it's not grass, it doesn't fly. So I want to thank all the co-sponsors who supported, welcome any discussion, but my intent is to refer to committee.
Well, I, for one, want to be added as a sponsor because, having been the initiator of the Malden Community Garden and knowing the need for pollinators and what's going on in our community, especially with our bee community. And, we do have a number of pollinator gardens down at the bike path, the garden that's on the bike path. I think it's, it's very important that we look at this. So please add me as a sponsor.
And I did mean to say that one of the things Director Webb asked was that we engage with the community garden because of that expertise. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Absolutely. So so this is going to be in order. So we're going, I'm sorry, Councilor, we have, Councilor O'Malley first. Sorry, and then Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Councilor Linehan and the health director for helping move this forward. In the tree well in front of my house, I have a pollinator garden, and just trying to prevent the city from actually cutting it down is been one of the biggest challenges. So I think that, because it looks like, to the untrained eye, it looks like weeds. And so I had to put up like little stakes around it with a little sign being like, please don't cut my little pollinator garden. So, I think that this is something that's kind of great, and we can kind of really beautify our community. And just kind of knowing that, not everything that looks like a weed is a weed, but some of them are, and I'm learning. So looking forward to seeing more of these in our community. Thank you. But we have to make sure that they don't encourage rodents. So that's the other thing. Thank you.
Councilor Spatafora.
I'm all set, I yield.
Oh, you sure? Okay, all right. So now this is gonna be in order. So we're gonna send this to ordinance, right?
So that's not an order, that would be an ordinance.
That would be an ordinance, so paper.
So you just want to refer this to?
You want to refer to ordinance, correct?
Yes.
For ordinance, okay. All right.
We'd like to invite inspectional services in the garden and
Okay, right. All right, so on Council Linehan's motion to refer.
I'm sorry, I have a question. You might want to shut your mic.
Oh,
Oh, that's fine, sure, so then you can all work together. Yeah, that works fine, so you need a amended motion? No worries. Okay, yeah, change the motion, so we're gonna make a motion to adopt the ordinance. Okay, understood. Well, ordinance will get together with the board of health, in there, the same, but we're gonna need a consent committee. This orders them to get with the board of health and create that order. So this is gonna be the one to pass the resolve.
on Councilor Linehan's motion, pass the resolve, seconded by Councilor Seeker. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolve is passed. Okay. Next order of business.
Paper 356-23, resolved that it is the sense of the Malden City Council, there gets written a code of conduct for city council members. This code shall be a collaborative process which shall result in an agreed-upon standard of behavior to discuss issues openly at city council meetings, demonstrate respect, consideration, and civility, and serve as a model of leadership to the community.
Councilor Cologne Hayes.
Yes, thank you. So this was just to bring up something that we have talked about, as the city council has talked about for maybe over a year now. I know that Councilor Spatafora, when he was council president, talked about a code of conduct, and then Councilor Murphy, you had also talked about having it done by a possible with hiring the same firm that did us, that did our training, because they were fantastic, and I think we all learned a lot and worked really well with them. So it was just kind of to remember that we were still talking about that, and hopefully put that just back on the table, that we either hire them. I think you had allocated some funding for that, so it was just to move it along before the end of the year, that's all.
Councilor O'Malley.
I just would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Councilor Seeker.
Thank you, Council President. That's not what this resolve says.
I'm-
So, how do you do that?
Would you like to reword? Yeah, we could.
This resolve sounds like what we just discussed for the Robert's Rules of Decorum in the rule book. It doesn't state that we're gonna have training like we had for DEI.
Yeah. So it wasn't training, it's what we had discussed doing by two different council presidents. So whatever the wording needs to change, I'm fine with that.
I get
But that
that.
was the intent of what this was.
You might want to
Yeah,
It was norms, the creation of
norms, yeah.
that's not.
We went back and forth with
This
that wording.
resolve doesn't say any of that, though.
It was norms and code of conduct. They're interchange, I read, we discussed different wording, what it could be. I'm fine with calling it a norm, a code of conduct, whatever it is. We actually did have norms in there first and then changed it, so, but it's in the intent was to go back to what we all decided on. So whatever the wording makes people happy, I'm fine with that.
No, this
The-
is.
No.
What
this
is,
is
I
great.
still have the floor, I think. What is on the agenda this evening is a resolve that is the sense of the Malden City Council that there gets a written code of conduct for city council members. This code shall be a collaborative process which shall result in an agreed-upon standard of behavior to discuss issues openly at city council meetings, demonstrates respect, consideration, and civility, and serve as a model of leadership to the community. To me, I read that, and I think that's what we just discussed in new rules. From what I'm listening to Council Cologne Hayes say, she wants to kind of do like a team building thing again? Is that what,
Well,
that's what you just
Yeah,
started off
so
with
it
saying?
was, if you remember when we were in the team building and the training, we talked about having, I mean, does anyone else remember this? We talked, thank you. I'm like, I know I wasn't alone. We talked about coming up with norms and code of conduct or norms. We didn't specifically say what the exact wording is. To me, they're interchangeable, but whatever you want to call them is fine. So it's basically to bring back up exactly what we talked about during those trainings and just to get it done. That's all.
I think it needs to
Be reworded.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fine. I don't
I don't know
have
if
no problem
this
with
should
that.
be amended or,
Or we can do it here, I mean, if we would say,
I think the whole thing needs to be rewritten. Well, only because it says the code of conduct for city council members, that's addressed in our council rule book. This wording is not what she's saying. What she's saying is something different than
well,
what
it could be the
is
same,
written.
but I would be open to rewording it. Code of conducts and norms, again, are interchangeable, but I'm fine with rewording this. It's waited this long. I have like no issue with that, but I would like to hear from other people.
Yeah, no, not off the top of my head. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to speak to this as a co-sponsor. I think for clarity's sake, this was being developed before, at least speaking personally, before I realized that it would be on the agenda at the same time that we'd be talking about the council rules and have a redundant conversation to a lot of the same concepts. So I don't think there's any ill intent here at being at overlapping there, but the sense that I got, and I do have a proposed wording change if the main sponsor is open to it. The sense that I got that was this was affirming our council president's commitment to either engage a consultant or do follow up to that DEI training that we had, where we had basically said, yes, we need norms, but that's a whole other conversation, and we need to do that another time in another way. And so I appreciated that Councilor Cologne Hayes was just trying to re-elevate that conversation and have a discussion amongst ourselves as to what that looks like and how we get that done. So the amended language that I've jotted down here, and I don't know if we want to keep the second sentence, but I'm just looking at the first sentence, would be following the words that it is the sense of the Malden City Council, that we strike, there gets written a code of conduct, and replace it with that we engage an external consultant to help develop a set of norms for city council members, or something similar to that, that to Councilor Sika's point, that codifies that we're looking to follow up on a training, that that's what we're trying to do, and that we may need help to do it. If we don't want to have a consultant, I don't think we could try to do it ourselves, but my recollection is that that's what we had said we needed to do, was to get either a follow-up with that same consultant or someone else to help walk us through that and do a norm-setting exercise, which I certainly don't have much experience doing. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. We do have one more light on, so if nobody minds, I'm gonna have Councilor McDonald speak.
We can take a vote on that.
Resolve that it is the sense of the Malden City Council that they engage a consultant to create a set of norms.
Yeah, I had said to help develop a set of norms, create either way is fine.
Okay.
So this would be a vote to approve the amendment change.
So, on Councilor Linehan's amendment, seconded by Councilor O'Malley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Councilor Sika, okay. On a vote to pass the resolve as amended. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I got two lights on, sorry, hold on here. Counselor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. So we just did the amendment, so that now the way that Council Linehan started off, sort of the resolve, so the part that says the code shall be a collaborative process, that still all stays?
No, I think it all went, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it all went. Yep.
So it's just, because I do feel like, it says in here that we're going to do it at city council meetings, but I see in lots of other areas, people are extremely disrespectful, so I just want to make sure that we're kind of looking at that, not just when we're sitting in the chamber.
Okay, so we're just having, we have our parliamentarian here who is just saying, as I'm whispering and Councilor Seeker's whispering, shorten it that much, it really does make it a new paper. I mean, it's a totally new paper, wouldn't you agree?
Adding a word or striking out a word, you're changing the whole paper.
Huh? I'm gonna go with our parliamentarian who thinks it is a new paper, but you may,
So I've been asked if I think it's an entirely new
I just
paper.
want to hear your opinion.
In terms of an open meeting law situation, because I think that the way the open meeting law works is that discussions that naturally flow from a paper do comply. So I don't think that what we've done is inappropriate. I understood, based on being in the training, that this is what Councilor Cologne Hayes was getting at. No, because I would have been I would have been a sponsor had I. I only did that after, but I'm comfortable moving forward with it. But
Yeah. It's just so different.
What you're reading?
Councilor Seeker, Council Linehan has the floor at the moment.
Oh, I didn't realize, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Is it simpler to keep that in since we didn't explicitly strike the second sentence, or should we just table it and start over?
I think we should table it.
Okay. Councilor McDonald was also waiting to speak. I don't want
Okay,
to
well,
make that
actually,
motion and
actually,
obliterate.
I have Council Winslow, then Council Seeker, then Councilor Hayes, then Councilor McDonald, and before.
That's why I wasn't doing
It
that.
does, yes.
Quicker thing, Chris.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
Okay, all right, we got a motion to table by Councilor Simonelli, seconded by Councilor Condon.
There's already a motion on the floor. Over and over again, man.
No, there's not a motion on the floor.
Table motion takes precedence.
Yeah, takes precedent.
No, because there was
No, it was, the motion to amend was, we did the motion to amend.
and then there was a motion to.
Motion to table takes precedent.
No, I started to say, are you gonna make a motion to, yeah, so no. Okay, all right, so motion to table. Personally, if you wanna get this moving, I'm not sure tabling it is the right, we'll table it tonight, but just put a new paper in, Councilor Cologne Hayes.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were gonna do that.
That's exactly what I was going to do, but I have no problem with it. I just want it done, so
Okay.
I'm fine with that. If the wording's off, I don't care, and that's what I was telling me to do. It really doesn't matter. We're here late, let's just withdraw it, and then I'll start over, and I have no issues with that whatsoever.
Okay,
I just
so-
want it done.
Okay, everyone.
Yep.
Okay, so, first of all, no, okay, so on Councilor Simonelli's motion to withdraw his table, seconded by Councilor Spatafora, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. That tabling motion is withdrawn. On Councilor Cologne Hayes' motion to withdraw her resolve, seconded by Councilor Simonelli, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Councilor O'Malley. Okay, that resolve or paper is withdrawn. Next order of business, please.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor
Just for those who wonder,
No, that's me.
Spatafora, 1 second.
do you have, the name of the group we hired was the Mendez Group.
Mendez, that's it, yes.
This is if everybody was. Man, okay, if you knew it, then why don't you say it?
I didn't, you had your.
Oh, you gotta correct me. Is it Mendez? Is it
Mendez.
Mendez? It's the two names, right?
Yeah.
Just as if anybody wanna know.
Paper 357-23.
You guys look like the two old guys on the Muppets.
Council Simonelli. I have the floor right now.
I love doing that.
Resolved that it is the sense of the Malden City Council that the body moves forth with the recommended policies for public access to council meetings from the Technology Committee. The committee was tasked with creating a policy which was unanimously approved by the City Council, reviewed by Acting City Solicitor Alicia McNeil, as well as city employees from the IT Department and the Mayor's Office.
Counselor Cologne Hayes for the paper.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and say the same thing that Councilor Amanda Linehan said earlier. I did not realize we were going to be discussing all this in the council rules also. These are just things I wanted to move forward and put, and get moving. When I spoke to the clerk, she said that you were thinking about putting it on, but it wasn't this week. So that's why I put it on. I can withdraw that since we're going to talk about it anyway.
Okay.
Point of information, Council, I just want to make clear that we did have that discussion, and I did tell you that council rulebook would be on the agenda this week.
This
I
week.
just want to be clear.
Okay,
Thank you.
I didn't hear this week. Okay.
On Counselor Cologne Hayes' motion to withdraw paper number 357, all those in, seconded by Counselor Crowe, remember your name. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? No. Counselor O'Malley is opposed.
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Thank you.
Next order of business.
Enrolled ordinance, paper 227-23, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, Title 12, Chapter 12, be amends as followed. 12.12.030 use regulations be amended by striking SP in the drive-through category and replacing it with no in the neighborhood business and central business columns. 12.12.150 drive-through be amended by striking neighborhood business, central business in the first paragraph.
Counselor O'Malley for your ordinance.
I would move to ordain.
On Counselor O'Malley's motion to ordain, all those, seconded by Counselor Counselor Winslow. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon. Yes. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Linehan. Yes. Councilor McDonald. Yes. Councilor O'Malley.
Yes.
Councilor Seega. Yes. Councilor Simonelli. Yes. Councilor Spatafora. Yes. Councilor Winslow. Yes. Councilor President Murphy.
Yes. It's okay. So that is ordained.
Yes.
11 to 0. Very good, thank you. Next order of business, please.
Enrolled ordinance, paper 304-23, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden 2.20.020 elected official salary classification plan be hereby amended to reflect the following compensation levels to be effective January 1st, 2024.
On Councilor Winslow's motion to ordain the ordinance, seconded by Councilor McDonald. All those, clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon. Yes. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Linehan. Yes. Councilor McDonald. Yes. Councilor O'Malley. Yes. Councilor Seega.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli. Yes. Councilor Spatafora. Yes. Councilor Winslow. Yes. Council President Murphy.
Yes, that is ordained. Okay, moving on. Next order of business, please.
Paper 358-23, communication, Attorney General's determination that no violation was found in open meeting law complaint 2023-155 against the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you. I'm just going to be placing this on file. Normally, this would be presented to the Parks and Recreation Committee, but the Council President abolished it. We rolled it into the Public Works Committee. So this is just to place it on file. The committee was found to have not violated the open meeting law by the Attorney General's. So my motion is to place on file.
On Councilor O'Malley's motion to place on file, seconded by Councilor Simonelli. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Placed on file. Motion is, okay. Next order of business, please.
Paper 359-23, committee report. The Standing Committee on Rules and Ordinance, to whom is referred paper 323, series of 2023, having considered the same, make the following report. Committee recommends this paper out favorably to the full council.
Councilor Crowe for the paper. Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to receive the
Councilor
committee
Crowe's
report.
motion to receive the committee report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Committee report is received. Councilor Crowe for the committee.
Do you want me to read the
Oh,
paper?
you want
in
to, oh,
official speech?
please, could you read the paper, please? Oh. Well, Councilor Crowe, could, I turned you off for a second. want the clerk to read the paper.
Paper 323-23, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden is hereby amended by adding Title II, Chapter .24, Section .025, Public Facilities Department Employees Salary Classification Plan to reflect the following compensation levels.
Now you're on, Councilor Crowe.
Okay, so this paper is just really to create the salary schedule for the Public Facilities Department that is aligned with the contract that they have come to agreement on with the administration. So make a motion to enroll.
On Councilor Crow's motion to enroll, the clerk will call the roll. Seconded by Councilor McDonald. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Condon. Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Seega. Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Winslow. Council President Murphy.
Yes, the ordinance is enrolled. Next order of, oh,
Ordain this tonight.
on Councilor Winslow's motion to suspend docket rules, seconded by Councilor Crowe, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Condon. Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Seega. Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Winslow. Council President Murphy.
Yes. On Councilor Winslow's motion to ordain the ordinance, seconded by Councilor Crowe, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Condon. Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Seega. Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Winslow. Council President Murphy.
Yes, the ordinance has been ordained.
Alrighty.
Next order of business.
360-23 Committee Report, the Standing Committee on Finance, to whom was referred Paper 324 Series of 2023, having considered the same, make the following report. Committee recommends this paper out favorably to the full council.
On Councilor McDonald's motion to receive the committee report, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The committee report is received. Councilor McDonald for the committee.
Yes, this is just the appropriation that goes along with the changes in salary classification that we just went ahead and ordained, so.
Oh,
what we got.
actually, yes, and actually, I did it again. Clerk, could you please read the paper?
Paper 324-23 order that the sum of $120,000 is transferred from salary reserve to public facilities labor salaries.
Sorry for jumping you.
No, that was all right. It was, I should have had her read it before I said, turned it over to you. Okay, so you've already had your explanation. So on Councilor McDonald's motion to adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Crowe, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Condon. Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan. Councilor McDonald. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Seega. Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Councilor Winslow. Council President Murphy.
Yes. Councilor Winslow? Yes. We don't need to, no, we're good. We don't have to do anything. No, we're good. We're good, so that's good. We're good to go. Next order of business.
Docket is clear.
Docket is clear. All right. So let us start. Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to make everyone aware that we'll be having the annual Trunk or Treat event that is going to be on Saturday, October 28th, from 4 to 6 p.m. It is along Canal Street at the bike path, so we have, 20 or so cars. Instead of going door to door, you go trunk to trunk. And so it is a great way to kind of get connected. Again, it's going to be on Saturday, October 28th, 4 to 6 on Canal Street. So I hope people come on down, get those costumes out. I know there's a lot of Halloween happenings that happen in Malden, so this is a good way to kick it off. So I hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, one more reminder that on Saturday, The 21st, we're going to be having our Fall Fest at the BB School on the Plaza. It's a free community event. We have a pumpkin decorating, giveaway. You can take a pumpkin home, you can decorate it there. Costumes are encouraged. We have goodie bags, we'll have music. It's just a lot of fun, and that's going to be from 12 to 2 on the BB Plaza on the 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Monahan. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Madam President. So I just want to state that, it's been an extremely difficult few days for many people in our community and the world. And to be honest with you, I have been at a loss for words. But I do want our community to know that my thoughts are with our Jewish friends and neighbors who are grieving an unprecedented attack. Middle East peace is very complicated, but kidnapping and killing children and the elderly is not. May their memory be a blessing.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Very well said. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor O'Malley, for really raising that. Malden has a long Jewish tradition, and I know many people affected, and just the horrible things that have happened really sadden us all, and let's see how we go forward from here and stand with our Jewish friends. Just more in the vein of what's going on for Halloween, so we have Ward 6 Association is sponsoring our Halloween event Sunday, October 29th, 12 to 4 at the Salem Wood School. So there's decoration, lots of games and fun for the kids. So everybody come on out for that. Thank you. Great.
Councilor Simonelli.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say that I will too be participating in the trunk or treat. I was talking to Councilor Pay Crow, and it sounded very exciting last year, and I was talking to her again this year, and so I think I'm going to give that a try this time around and try that out. So I've been telling people in my community to come down in the neighborhood and come down to Canal Street on the bike path, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And also, I wanted to thank all of the folks that helped out with the senior cookout this past Sunday down at Suffolk Manor. It was a great time. When I was a counselor before, I used to do this every year in the fall. I do an annual barbecue for the seniors, and feed them from everything from hot dogs to steak tips and everything in between, and they really enjoyed themselves. And I want to thank the Tenant Association for helping put that together, and I'd like to thank a lot of my colleagues that are sitting up here right now that have come down to Suffolk Manor and join in on the festivities. The mayor's office, they had come down, they were there, I appreciate it. And I want to thank the DPW, particularly Bobby Knox, in helping me get the stuff that I needed to get, the barbecue grills and all that stuff there, so he helped me out a lot getting that over there. But it was a great time, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that helped put that together, and we'll do it again next year. And last but not least, I just want to let people know that, Councilor Winslow and I have been working since I got in office on this Willow Street Greenway grant application. So it is, it has to do with the parking on Willow Street, how it's been removed from the curb, and we're going to extend the curb further, add some green space. So now the cars will be against the curb again. It'll give the riders and the bike a safe path to go on. So, I don't want to bring up any leaves from the bottom of the pond here, but I just want to say that, it just goes to what I was saying in the past about, with the bike lanes and stuff like that. I think that there's enough smart enough people up here that we can fix things that need to be fixed and tweak things as we move forward going along. And I'll use my friend Councilor Spatafora's term. You don't always throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? That was his terms when he was council president last year. I remember that. So I just want to say that, you got to continue, nothing changes if nothing changes. So, you have to be willing to make these changes, and people don't understand that there is a lot of grant money that's attached to these things, and yeah, we want the money, but we don't want to do what we're supposed to do for it. So this is prime opportunity to see how that works. So I appreciate Councilor Winslow assisting me with that, and I just want the people down in Ward 7 to know that, you know, we are working on Willow Street. So thank you, Madam President. I'm glad to see you back, safe from your trip in Europe. You look great.
Thank you. Councilor Sika.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to update everybody on this upcoming Sunday, October 15th. It is our annual Public Safety Day down at Linden Park. Shocker, but it's supposed to rain on Sunday. It's been raining for 40 days and 40 nights, I feel like, I don't know. But I was in, Councilor Spatafor and I were in touch with, the Chief of Police, the Chief of Fire today. We're gonna make a determination tomorrow if that will be going on as planned. We actually reached out to a bunch of our vendors and the people that will be joining us on Sunday to see if they could possibly come on the 22nd, the following Sunday. And so we can, it's really not an event that we can move indoors with all the trucks touching and the smokehouse and the bounce houses. So if we are able to move it to October 22nd, Sunday, it will be the same time, same place, just different day following week. If it rains that day, then unfortunately we're going to have to cancel because it's just going to get too cold out for us to be able to reschedule it at this time. So just look out on social media tomorrow for an update as to whether Public Safety Day will be going on as scheduled or if we're going to be rescheduling it for Sunday, October 22nd, sorry. And then to piggyback Councilor Simonelli, guess what? Councilor Spatafor and I are also jumping on Peg's trunk or treat bandwagon this year. And we're gonna be there in costumes with our trunks decorated. And I think it's gonna be great. I've seen pictures every year. I haven't actually attended, but we're gonna switch it up a little bit and join you all for the fun festivities. I think it'll be great to see all of us there and all decorated and in costume. It'll be good. So I think that's it. I think that's all I got, right? What are we? When's the next?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah, I think we're good. All right, thank you.
That's good.
Okay, Councilor McDonald.
A lot of signs out there.
I want to thank the city's IT services department for fixing my laptop. Thanks, A-Rod. And it's working great now. I just wanted to also make sure folks knew that the Malden Warming Center is having a gala event on Friday, 6 o'clock at Anthony's. And so I hope you can come and support the Warming Center. And also to remind folks that,
be careful. I think I'm closing it this year.
Are still, we still have this great deal with Black Earth Compost, and we're trying to get to 300 subscribers in Malden, because when we get to 300 subscribers in Malden, everybody in Malden's compost bill goes down by 30%. We are so close to being there. So I just want to remind folks you can go to the Black Earth website and still sign up for compost. It's a great service. It's pretty affordable. It's like $15 per month now for every other week pickup. So I think it's a great opportunity, and they come with these very cute trash cans that my kids love and are very critter safe. So that's what I'll add. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor McDonald. Councilor Cologne-Hayes.
Yes, thank you. I just, regarding the rain, yes, it does. It has been raining like every weekend. So I just wanted to thank everyone who was involved. We had to shuffle things around and move the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration indoors to the senior center. It worked great. The custodians, the city of Malden, everybody really helped out and rallied. So we had a great performances and great attendance. So I'm glad that worked out. There was a lot of us moving in here. There was the, I think Catherine Clark came in here, Uma's Film Festival, so in the senior center, and it worked out great. Also, the Indigenous Peoples Day, that was also moved inside, moved into the gallery at the Malden High School, and that was really nice to start the day off with. And that's, yeah, so just want to give a big thank you to that. And I also will be joining the trunk or treat, yes. So that's great. And Ward 3, Fuji will be helping out with the festivities over in BB. And thank you to Councilor Simonelli for the great food that he had over there at Suffolk Manor. I don't think I've ever been to a barbecue that had steak tips and chicken. It was ridiculous and delicious, so thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Winslow again, what'd you
Yeah,
get?
no, just one thing, a great crew helped install a little library over at Trafton Park, and at 3:30 on Friday, there's going to be a little celebration right next to the playground in honor of the new little library at Trafton Park. So otherwise, just let the public know we have closed off about half of Trafton Park. The courts and the dog park are closed right now because the construction has started, so that's exciting. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. And from the chair, just to, I guess, say to Counselor Crowe, I'm going to be a repeat performer because I have been there with my trunk. So, yes, so this is, it's fun, but I will tell you to those newbies that are come, you better have your truck decorated because this is kind of like, it's a little bit of competition as to who has the best trunk.
Hey, have
So,
you seen my car? I don't need any decorations on that bad daddy. It is, yeah.
It's seriously.
The gremlin.
And I'm going to give you, for those of you who are coming, I'm going to give you, excuse me.
Hey, I'm glad you're getting you.
Okay, but so I'm just going to give you all a quick piece of advice. Okay, bring some lights to put on the inside of your trunk because if you don't, you can't see anything.
Ah,
So it's-
good
so
idea.
You really need
Good idea.
like kind of those, yeah. You definitely
Ma-
need to get
Madam-
like a little lantern or something. to
Madam
put in your
President,
trunk.
I just wanted to say to you that, we have a couple of the Emerson students here tonight, so we want to thank them for coming.
I actually
kind of
was-
forgot. My colleague reminded me, so I just want to let you know.
Well, actually, I was actually wondering all night who they were. So ladies, before we close, come on up to the microphone here and introduce yourselves.
Great.
And tell us,
Thanks for staying the whole night on this night. We appreciate that. They're gonna change their classes tomorrow.
okay, well, I gave my gavel away for them to pack up, otherwise I'd bang, because calming this group down, as you can tell, they're a little rowdy. But I'm sure they'll all be quiet as church mice, so you can introduce yourself and let us know why you're here.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Nia. I'm a sophomore at Emerson College, and we are in Mark Michelli's beat reporting class, and our beat is Malden City Council. So.
Oh.
I'm Alyssa Chang, also just in
Hey,
the class.
guys. Quiet as
See?
church mice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we're just excited to be here. I think it was like actually way more interesting than we anticipated.
That's being nice. Nice way of saying it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
so
for coming
I
out.
just want to know, should we have served popcorn?
That would have been a great addition, but it was still good without it.
I have a popcorn machine.
So,
Didn't you call me for one?
yeah, so,
Go ahead.
anyway, I just wanted to say Ward 5 will be having its annual Halloween party it's always the Sunday before Halloween, so it's on the 29th. It's at the Forestdale School from 4 to 6 p.m., and we have the infamous candy parade at the end, which is so much fun. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody dressed up, families dressed up, and just make a day of it. And we collectively, from the council, want to thank you for hanging in with us. And also, are you writing a report?
Yeah, so we just have to write like a overview of the city or the council meeting.
We're in trouble.
Okay, would you share it with us?
Yeah, we can. It won't be published. It's just like a class assignment. But if y'all want to read it, of
Yeah,
course.
we'd love to read it. We'd love
to
see a view.
Remember who the handsome ones.
A motion to adjourn by Councilor O'Malley, seconded by Councilor Crowe. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?